Chapter 356. Having a target, master in, see if these are to your liking. Mr. Yang said with a smile as he showed the girls behind him. Haha, Brother Lin is the guest today. Brother Lin, see if you like them first. Jianghu said with a nod to Lin Yi. Oh, can I pick two? Lin Yi asked after one look. Of course. Taizao nodded. He'd been afraid that Lin Yi wouldn't pick, but now he could even pick all of them, let alone two. The more people there were, the messier it'd be. It'd be more convincing if he showed them to Chu Pengzhan. That's great. Lin Yi smiled. But to be honest, none of them are to my liking. Jianghu and Taizao frowned at Lin Yi's words. Wasn't Lin Yi being a little too picky? These 5 girls weren't top-tier beauties, but they'd still be top-tier beauties after putting on makeup. How could Lin Yi not be interested in any of them? Was his standards really too high, or was he doing this on purpose? But no matter what, Jianghu had no choice but to ask Mr. Yang to switch. Jianghu pretended to be angry. Mr. Yang, what's wrong with you? Is it because I haven't been here for a few years that you're not giving me face anymore? Are you trying to fool us with these kinds of girls? I wouldn't dare. Mr. Yang sweated. I'll go switch them right now. These 5 girls really weren't the best of the best in the Starlight Hotel. Taizao had told him to find some good ones to entertain the guests, and so Mr. Yang thought that these 5 were more than enough. He didn't think too much about it. Who would have thought that this customer was a picky one, and now he pissed off Master N as well? It wasn't worth it, and he quickly left the room with the 5 girls. Jianghu could tell from Mr. Yang's expression that these 5 weren't the best of the best. He couldn't help but look at Taizao puzzled. Why was this guy so unreliable? Since Lin Yi hung out with Mengyao and Yushu all the time, his standards must be higher than the average person's. Would he even be interested in a normal girl? I'm so sorry, Brother Lin. This Mr. Yang is really bad at handling things. Jianghu couldn't blame Taizao, so he pushed the blame onto Mr. Yang. Nothing. Let's wait and see. Lin Yi shook his head slightly, feeling amused. Even if you brought a heaven immortal, I would still look down on you. After a while, the door of the private room was pushed open again. This time, Director Yang brought 3 girls who were obviously a grade higher than the previous 5 into the private room. Master and Master Lin, how did it go? Mr. Yang was full of confidence. He'd brought all of the hotel's top hostesses with him. If he still couldn't pick them out, then he'd have to say that Master Lin had bad taste. Oh, let me see. Lin Yi raised his head calmly, sizing up the 3 girls Mr. Yang had brought. He had to admit that these girls were all top quality. Lin Yi sighed. Why did he have to go into this line of work? But Lin Yi wasn't a savior. He didn't want to care about things like this. Everyone had their own difficulties and he couldn't possibly understand them one by one. He pretended to look at the 3 girls carefully, thinking that Lin Yi would definitely keep 1 or 2 or even 3 of them when Lin Yi spoke up. Man, it still won't do. Mr. Yang, are you hiding something? Mr. Yang paused, a little unhappy. Hiding something? What, Master Lin doesn't like any of them. At this point, even Jianghu and Taizao thought that Lin Yi was being too picky. Was this guy just going through the motions to brush them off? Maybe he didn't even want to look? Jianghu had his suspicions, but he couldn't say it already. What if Lin Yi was really that picky? Brother Lin, don't tell me that you don't like any of them? Taizao's words were a little forceful. After all, even he was a little moved by these 3 girls, but Lin Yi didn't like any of them? Alright, I'll get straight to the point then. Mr. Yang, I heard that Starlight has 2 top hostesses, a pair of twins? Lin Yi pretended to be unhappy. I've heard so much about them, it's not just a rumor, is it? Lin Yi's words surprised Mr. Yang as well as Jianghu and Taizao. What surprised Mr. Yang was that Lin Yi wasn't being picky at all, but that he already had a target in mind. Perhaps it was because he wanted to save face, but he didn't say it out loud. Instead, he was hinting at Mr. Yang through his dissatisfaction, asking him to change to someone better. Jianghu and Taizao, on the other hand, hadn't been here for years, and they didn't know who the top hostesses were anymore. So when they heard Lin Yi say these 2 names, they thought to themselves that this kid was an expert. What made Jianghu and Taizao the happiest was that Lin Yi wasn't messing with them on purpose. He already had a target in mind, and perhaps he was too embarrassed to say it out loud before, but now that Taizao had forced him to say it. But that wasn't a problem. As long as Lin Yi said the name, everything would be fine. Mr. Yang, that Xue and Hua Hua, aren't they the top hostesses here? Jianghu looked at Mr. Yang, his tone neutral. He was a little annoyed. Even if he hadn't been here for years, he was still one of the 4 young masters of Songshan. He was a famous young master in Songshan. This Mr. Yang wasn't giving him face at all. He'd already asked him to change the hostesses, and he was still hiding something. Wasn't he looking down on him? Mr. Yang's heart tightened at Jiang Wen's anger. He knew that Jiang Wen had misunderstood. He quickly explained, Masterin, please don't be angry. Xue and Hua Hua are the top hostesses here, but they've already been picked up by other customers for a large sum of money? Large sum of money? Tell them to come over, I'll pay them even more. It's just money, isn't it? I've got plenty of it. Jiang Wen panicked. Lin Yi finally had a target, and now they've been picked by someone else? How could he let that happen? That's against the rules, isn't it? Mr. Yang sighed. The current Songshan wasn't the fourth young master's world anymore. Your families all have their own backgrounds, but there's someone here who's no weaker than you all. He's the one who picked Xue and Hua Hua tonight. Can I go get them back? Bro, let's just forget about it. Since Mr. Yang's in such a difficult position, let's talk about it another day? Lin Yi said, pretending to be a nice guy. Chapter 357. Chapter 357. The fox exploiting the tiger's might. Jiang Wen knew that tonight was a good opportunity for him to take down Lin Yi. It was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and he didn't know when he'd get it after today. He couldn't wait. Since Lin Yi had a target in mind, he'd have to make sure he got what he wanted. Brother Lin, don't worry, leave this to me. I have some face here in Songshan. Jiang Wen said faintly as he looked at Mr. Yang. Mr. Yang, are you not going to give me face anymore? Masterin, it's not that I don't want to, it's just that I can't call them back from their rooms. Mr. Yang smiled bitterly. They're not easy to mess with. Oh? So you're saying that we're easy to mess with? Tai Zhao raged, really wanting to slap this guy in the face. He and Bro were Songshan's 4 young masters. Mr. Yang smiled bitterly. He couldn't afford to piss off a single one of them. Bro, it looks like your face isn't that useful anymore. Why don't we just let it go? I don't want things to get out of hand. Lin Yi said weakly as he looked at Jiang Wen. It's fine. Jiang Wen stood up from Lin Yi's words. You don't have to do that, just tell me which room they're in, I'll go find them myself. In Songshan, other than my bro Qin, there's no one who dares fight me for a woman. They're in room 418? Mr. Yang said. Masterin, I'll be leaving first then, please don't tell anyone that I said that. Go. Jiang Wen waved his hand impatiently, cursing the coward in his mind. He turned to Tai Zhao. Let's go, we'll fight and bro for a woman. All right. Tai Zhao stood up as well, itching to go. In the past few years they had done plenty of such tyrannical things, so they didn't care at all and weren't afraid of getting into trouble. Most people would take the initiative to keep the peace after hearing the name of the 4 young masters of Mount Songshan. No one would argue with them and cause trouble. Brother Lin, are you coming? Jiang Wen looked at Lin Yi, who was sitting on the chair. You're a man, you need to be hot-blooded. Even if you don't do anything, you should at least watch from the side. Then? I'll go take a look. Lin Yi stood up excitedly. Actually, I'm looking forward to such a hot-blooded scene. It's just that I didn't dare to before. Ha, no problem, just watch. Tai Zhao laughed. Watch how the 4 young masters of Songshan step on people. Tai Zhao put on a righteous face as well. That was the only way to get Lin Yi to let his guard down, and they'd be able to take pictures of him later. Alright, then I'll also borrow the tiger's might for once. Lin Yi stood up and took 2 steps forward. Then he turned around and picked up a bottle of red wine from the table. I need to bring a weapon to protect myself. Ha, these things are all trash if you follow us. Tai Zhao curled his lips. The name of the 4 young masters of Songshan was much more useful than a bottle of wine. Lin Yi walked in front like a tiger, opening up a path. Jiang Wen and Tai Zhao, on the other hand, were chuckling inwardly at the guy's thought. He'd gone crazy thinking about the twins, otherwise he wouldn't be this excited. He stopped in front of room 418, waiting for Jiang Wen and Tai Zhao to walk over before kicking the door open. His voice grew shrill with excitement. People inside, listen up. If you know what's good for you, send Xue and Hua Hua out to our young master right now. Otherwise, you'll be in for it. With that, he threw the bottle of wine in with a bang, hitting Tsihua's face and causing his nose to bleed. In actuality, Lin Yi had made his voice sharper on purpose. He didn't want Tsihua to recognize his voice. After throwing the bottle, Lin Yi quickly hid behind Jiang Wen and Tai Zhao. Jiang Wen and Tai Zhao, on the other hand, didn't mind Lin Yi's actions at all. They thought that he was just trying to act cool, but was also a coward, using their power to intimidate others. Jiang Wen and Tai Zhao walked into the room, and with Lin Yi leading the way, Jiang Wen pointed at the twins. I'm taking these 2 girls with me tonight. You guys don't mind, do you? Jiang Wen used to say this a couple of years ago, and it was easy for him to say it now. He looked at Shue and Hua and found them to be as pretty and sweet as the three girls Mr. Yang had brought. No wonder Lin Yi wanted them so much, even Jianghu himself was moved. If it weren't for the fact that he had to take pictures of Lin Yi, he would have taken them home himself. Sihua was stunned by the bottle of wine that Lin Yi had thrown at him. Who dared hit him in Songshan? Did they have a death wish? The voice sounded familiar, but Sihua didn't have time to think about it. He raised his head to look at the door and saw Jianghu and Taizao walking in. Sihua thought that they were the ones who threw the bottle. He was furious. How could there be people who didn't know what was good for them? Beat them to death. Beat them to death. Sihua held his bleeding nose as he pointed at Jianghu and Taizao. Beat them until they don't even recognize each other. The two golden class masters beside him had been killed by Lin Yi, but Sihua still had other fighters around him. They weren't golden class yet, but they were more than enough to beat up two young masters who didn't know any kung fu. The two bodyguards beside Sihua heard the order, pouncing over like hungry wolves, each of them grabbing one of the bodyguards and starting the fight without a word. Jianghu and Taizao were stupefied. They were used to stepping on people, never thinking about the consequences. The moment they said their names, the only thing the other party would think of was to let things go. But today the people in the room didn't even ask before starting the fight. Were they idiots? Didn't they know the rules? Aren't you afraid of getting into trouble and getting yourself into trouble? They were only thinking about themselves. They didn't think that this was all caused by Lin Yi. If it weren't for Lin Yi smashing a bottle of wine on Sihua's face, he wouldn't have ordered his bodyguards to start the fight. Usually, Jianghu and Taizao would bring a strong follower with them when they came out. For example, the feminine man from the other day was Taizao's fighter, and he had no problem fighting 1 against 3. But today he was treating Lin Yi to a meal, and so Jianghu didn't bring any irrelevant people. Only when the fight was about to start did he realize that there was no one on his side who could fight. Chapter 358. Wasn't this a little too much? Taizao didn't even get a chance to say anything before another bodyguard punched him to the ground. Cries and screams filled the room. People who didn't know what was going on would think that pigs were being slaughtered inside the room. Lin Yi curled his lips. Trying to mess with me? You two can enjoy the feeling of being screwed over yourself. Bye. He used his phone to record the two's miserable state for a while before leaving room 418 silently. He took the elevator downstairs and was out of the hotel in no time at all. Lin Yi didn't drink much at all, just 2 sips of red wine. Lin Yi wouldn't get drunk even if he drank a lot, so he got in the car and drove back to the villa. Jianghu and Taizao might be the Songshan young masters, but they'd probably have to swallow their pride if they knew that it was Sihua who'd beaten them up. They wouldn't be able to get back at him. Yushu called him again on the way home and Lin Yi picked it up with a smile. What's up? Is there something else? Yao Yao asked me to check if you did anything bad again. Yushu giggled. Ah, nothing, I'm going back soon. Lin Yi smiled. The mist was cold on the outside but warm on the inside. She did care about him a lot. Shu, don't say stuff like that, I'm just worried that he'll get filmed and sent to me. Meng Yao humphed, not admitting what she was thinking. Yao Yao's angry now. Yushu stuck her tongue out. Shil bro, did you do anything to them? Yup, I'll tell you guys when I get back. Lin Yi found it hilarious the more he thought about Jianghu and Taizao. Those two were really unlucky. He didn't know who was stronger, Jianghu and Taizao's power. On the 4th floor of the Bright Star Hotel, in room 418, there was a one-sided brawl going on. 2 bodyguards were kicking and punching Taizao and Jianghu, who'd already turned into pig heads. You dare hit me? Do you know who I am? Jianghu yelled at the top of his lungs. He took the opportunity when the bodyguard was switching hands. I don't care who you are. Since you dare to come looking for trouble today, don't even think of leaving here standing. Jiaoneng replied with a cold smile as he carefully wiped the blood off Tsihua's face. Tsihua bro, are you alright? Do you want to go to the hospital? I'm fine. Tsihua said with a wave of his hands. A small injury like this wasn't enough to affect him at all. It was just a little scary and he didn't feel like he was losing face at all. He was a big shot in the underworld and now his nose was bleeding from a slap? It was quite embarrassing. I'm Jianghu. Songshan young master Jianghu. How dare you hit me? Jianghu continued yelling while he still had the chance to speak. He was afraid that the bodyguard would land another punch on his mouth and turn him into a mute. Wait. Sihua paused after hearing Jianghu's words. He quickly waved his hand, signaling the bodyguards to stop fighting. What did you say? Who are you? I'm the 3rd of the Songshan young masters, Su Taizao. He's Jianghu broen. Taizao forced himself up from the ground and pointed a finger at Sihua. What now? Scared now? Not really, but there seems to be some kind of misunderstanding here. Sihua stood up and walked up to the man. Are you really Jianghu? Of course. Jianghu wiped the blood off his face dark. Do you want to see my ID? No need. I'll believe you if you say so. Let me introduce myself first, I'm Sihua. Sihua waved his hand and had the bodyguards help Jianghu and Taizao up. I don't give a fuck who you are. Sihua double-kicked Great Cannon whatever. How dare you hit me? You'll have your house confiscated tomorrow. Taizao waved his claws and fangs. Taizao, don't make a fuss. Jianghu frowned at the name and raised his head to look at Sihua. As expected, the guy looked very similar to the Sihua he'd seen in the documents, except that his nose was broken now. You're Sihua, bro? Yes, I'm Sihua. Sihua nodded. Master Wen, is there a misunderstanding? You asked me to meet you at the nightclub on the 5th floor at 9, why'd you come to my room early? I invited a friend here for dinner. He said he's interested in these two girls, huh? Where's he? Jianghu turned around, but Lin Yi was nowhere to be seen. What a huge misunderstanding. The owner of this room was actually Sihua. This beating would have been for nothing. Jianghu had been planning to get his men here as soon as he walked out of this room. He wouldn't let the people in this room have it easy. Getting their kidneys removed would be too easy for them. But now he could only swallow his anger. Invited a friend for dinner? Sihua frowned. Who was the one who threw the bottle in here? It's that friend of mine? Jianghu suddenly called out to the hallway. Lin Yi? Lin Yi? Lin Yi? The friend you invited is called Lin Yi? Sihua's pupils contracted. You're saying that Lin Yi was the one who threw the bottle in here? What? You know Lin Yi, Sihua bro? Jianghu could tell from Sihua's tone that he knew Lin Yi. I do. How could I not know him? Sihua smiled coldly. Not only do I know him, he's my enemy. Master Wen, I'm sure that you've been tricked by that Lin Yi. Jianghu's face darkened as he fell into deep thought after hearing Sihua's words. He wasn't an idiot, he connected the dots and came to a conclusion immediately. Lin Yi had done this on purpose. He probably knew that Sihua was in this room, and knew that Shue and Huahua were here as well. That was why he'd purposely picked these two, using Taizao and Jianghu as cannon fodder to send them to Sihua's room. In the end, a bottle had escalated the conflict, and Lin Yi was gone when the two of them went in stupidly. Chapter 359. Chapter 359, Getting Beaten Up for Nothing. What Lin Yi didn't know was that Jianghu and Sihua actually knew each other, and had even arranged to meet up at night. According to Lin Yi, even if Jianghu and Taizao weren't killed, they'd be crippled by Sihua's men. Sihua, on the other hand, wasn't a man who wouldn't react when his nose was bleeding. Masterin, I can only apologize for what happened earlier. I hope you don't mind, but I've become like this as well. Sihua said with a shrug as he pointed at his face. The power behind Sihua wasn't weak, but Jianghu's house wasn't weak either. Add Taizao's house to the mix, there was even less of a need for Sihua to start a feud. The two of them didn't even have a grudge against each other, and were even working together. It was all that bastard Lin Yi's fault. It's fine. Jianghu waved his hand. He knew that he couldn't blame Sihua for what happened today. The only person to blame was Lin Yi. That bastard was simply too evil. Taizao, on the other hand, was a little indignant. Lin Yi was the one who started this, but he couldn't just beat someone up like that, could he? He'd never heard of the name Sihua after all. Who the hell knew who he was? But seeing that Jianghu was letting it go, he didn't have anything else to say. He could only sit on the side angrily. The good thing was that the beating wasn't too heavy, just that his face looked like a pig's head. Shue Huahua, go accompany young Master Su to calm his anger. Sihua could see through Taizao's resentment. He waved at the twins, gesturing for them to keep Taizao company. Taizao's face was swollen, but Shue and Huahua weren't stupids. They knew that this person was someone with a high social status, someone who was on the same level as Sihua. Plus, he was a pig now, but he'd been a handsome guy when he first came in. It wouldn't be a loss to keep him company. Master Su? Taizao had been holding a grudge at first, but now that Sihua had given him these two headliners, that grudge vanished without a trace. He wasn't the kind of person who was shrewd. The purpose of coming to the private room this time was to snatch the woman. Now that he had achieved his goal, he had his face. Naturally, Taizao didn't say anything else about Sihua's thoughtfulness and respect. Happily, he brought the two girls into the lounge. Sihua smiled faintly. Naturally, he knew what Taizao was thinking, but he didn't care about him at all. The only person he cared about was Jianghu, the person who could bring him benefits. Young master, and forgive me for being blunt, but why are you treating Lin Yi to a meal? Are you friends with him? Sihua had to figure out the relationship between Jiang Wen and Lin Yi first. He knew that Jiang Wen was pissed off after Lin Yi set him up, but that was just on the surface. Who knew if there was a deeper connection between the two? If Jiang Wen and Lin Yi were really friends, then this cooperation wouldn't be able to go on. Friends? Jiang Wen smiled coldly. More like love rivals. Sihua narrowed his eyes. He'd gotten a useful piece of information. I was wondering why he'd set you up. I've underestimated the kid's intellect. It seems like he knew that I had bad intentions towards him all along, so he set me up after eating me. Jiang Wen said angrily. Sihua bro, you and Lin Yi is Mingyao's bodyguard. We wanted to kidnap Mingyao to achieve our goals, but Lin Yi ruined our plan. Sihua said nonchalantly. Naturally, he wouldn't reveal something as shameful as losing 2 golden-class masters, and now that the plan had failed, Gubang had lost the ability to deal with Pengzhan. Sihua couldn't be bothered with Mingyao, but Lin Yi, on the other hand, was something he couldn't let go of. Is Lin Yi really Mingyao's bodyguard? Jiang Wen paused. He'd had his suspicions before, but if Lin Yi really was Mingyao's bodyguard, then he still had a chance. I thought that he had some sort of relationship with Mingyao before, but I realized that he was closer to that Yushu. Sihua was talking about the theme park incident. Lin Yi risked his life to jump into the sea with Yushu, and that made Sihua suspicious. Yushu? Ah, that's great. Jiang Wen lost his composure a little after hearing Sihua's words. But he couldn't be blamed for that. He'd been planning to cause trouble for Lin Yi because he'd heard that Lin Yi was Mingyao's boyfriend. Now that he was sure that Lin Yi wasn't, Jiang Wen felt quite satisfied. What's wrong, Masterin? The girl you're in love with isn't Mingyao, is it? Sihua seemed to have noticed something. I'm sorry, Sihua bro, but Yao Yao and I are childhood friends. We grew up together. Jiang Wen nodded. I saw Lin Yi with Mingyao when I came back to China, so I brought him out to see what's going on. That kid isn't simple. Even if he's just a bodyguard, you still have to be careful of him. Sihua reminded. He didn't mind using this opportunity to drive a wedge between Jiang Wen and Lin Yi into the fray. I will. Jiang Wen nodded. Sihua bro, you guys want to go after Mingyao? It's all in the past and that plan has been terminated. Don't worry. Sihua smiled. Even if it wasn't terminated, I wouldn't do anything for Master An's sake. Thank you, Sihua bro. Jiang Wen was quite satisfied with Sihua's attitude. The two had some conflict at first, but that was all because of Lin Yi. Now that things were out in the open, Jiang Wen still wanted to work with Sihua. Master An, we don't get to know each other without a fight. We're both straightforward people, so just say what you want. Sihua smiled as he poured Jiang Wen a glass of red wine. Because of the misunderstanding, the two skipped the pleasantries and probing each other's secrets and went straight to the point. Jiang Wen glanced at the private room. Taizao was in there, and then at Sihua's bodyguards. He wanted to say something, but he didn't. Sihua smiled, naturally understanding what Jiang Wen meant. He waved his hand at his bodyguards. You guys leave first. Yes. The bodyguards didn't say anything and left the private room. After closing the door tightly, they stood guard at the door of the private room. Chapter 360. Kneeling on the CPU. Hello, Mr. Su, your name's pretty cute. Jiang Wen sweated a little at the name. It was a pretty cool name. Haha. Jianong smiled. I'm from the same family as that Master Su inside. Don't worry, Master An, this room's soundproof. We can't hear anything from inside, right? Jiang Wen nodded. Sihua bro, I'm sure you know what kind of business my family does. My big brother used to be in charge here in Songshan, and I don't care what he does, but I've heard a lot about you, Sihua bro. You're the boss of Songshan's underground forces. That's why I'm here to pay you a visit. No matter what, Jiang Wen's words made Sihua feel good. Naturally, Sihua knew what kind of business Jiang Wen's family was in. After all, selling human organs. Jiang Wen's big brother and Jianda hadn't visited Sihua when he was here. He didn't think much of Sihua because he had a golden class mid-phase as his underling. But in Jianda's business back then was the kind where money was exchanged for goods. It was illegal, but it didn't have anything to do with the underground forces. Sihua didn't want to get into an enemy's business because of that. After all, a golden class mid-phase master wasn't to be underestimated. Sihua had a stronger master backing him up, but there was no need for the two to fight to the death. Even if he took care of Jianda, Sihua wouldn't be able to dip his fingers into his business, since he'd never been in the business before. He didn't have any customers and he didn't have any channels to sell his organs. But even so, Sihua was still a little displeased. After all, doing illegal business in Songshan without paying a visit to him was a bit shameful. Even if he didn't give any money, shouldn't he at least put on a feast? And so, Sihua was quite pleased that Jiang Wen had taken the initiative to pay a visit. Ah, Master Wen, I'm glad that you're thinking like that. Don't worry, there's no one I can't take care of in Songshan. If you need anything in the future, just say the word, Sihua said boldly. However, he was obviously bragging. At the very least, he didn't manage to deal with Lin Yi. Not only that, but he also lost 2 golden class masters. This was a huge loss. No. Sihua bro, I'm not here to visit you this time. I'm here to talk about cooperation. Jiang Wen waved his hand with a smile. Cooperate? Sihua paused. What was there to cooperate with this guy? Sihua bro, you know that fewer and fewer people are willing to sell their kidneys these days. People aren't stupid anymore. My brother used to lie to people, saying that losing a kidney wouldn't affect them at all. But the truth is, people who have their kidneys removed will have their bodies deteriorate. No one is falling for that anymore. Jiang Wen said helplessly. That's why I'm preparing to make a move on the homeless and beggars. Of course I have to go through you, Sihua bro. Sihua nodded. This Jiang Wen was quite the attention. He wouldn't be able to interfere if it was just selling organs, but kidnapping people on his turf without Sihua's permission was a little disrespectful to him. Sihua nodded, thinking that Jiang Wen wasn't a big deal at all. That's a good thought. No one would notice if the homeless and beggars went missing. Sihua nodded. What do you want me to do? Help you catch them or help you solve the problem? Haha, it'd be best if you could help me catch them, but we'll do it ourselves. Jiang Wen nodded. Of course, I'll give you a certain amount of profit every month, Sihua bro. You won't be doing this for free. Okay. Sihua nodded, satisfied. Organ trading was a very profitable business, and it would be a good idea if Jiang Wen could give him a portion of the profit. Of course, Sihua bro, if you have someone who died not too long ago, you can send it to me as well. Jiang Wen said. We'll share the profit with you as well. No problem. It's a deal. Sihua nodded. Sihua wouldn't have agreed so easily if it were someone else, but he knew about Jiang Wen's family. His big brother had been doing organ trading for a few years now, and it had always been very secretive. There shouldn't be any risk in working with Jiang Wen. They'd already formed a set of procedures and it wouldn't be exposed easily. Sihua bro, you're such a straightforward person. Jiang Wen nodded with a smile as he raised the wine in his hand. His face was swollen and bruised, but he was still very happy that he'd made a deal. With Sihua's support, his business would definitely grow. Plus, he'd learned something important today. Lin Yi wasn't Mingyao's boyfriend, but her bodyguard. Things would be easier if that was the case, but it was time to change his plan of dealing with Lin Yi. If he really was a bodyguard, it would be a good idea to rope him in, but if he didn't, then he'd have no choice but to do the same. Mengyao and Yushu sat on the sofa watching TV. Mengyao waited for Yushu to finish talking with Lin Yi before asking, Shu, is he coming back already? Yeah, Yao Shield bro said he's on his way back. Yushu nodded. He said he wasn't lying and he didn't go to the miss. Humph, you can trust a man's words. Mengyao humphed. Shu, you trust people too easily. Don't get tricked by Lin Yi. My dad said that he didn't make mommy run away because of him, but what's the truth? I saw the note mommy left behind, and it said that daddy made her run away because of him. Oh? Then what should we do? We'll wait for Shield bro to come back and ask him. Yushu wondered if Shield bro would be able to resist temptation. I heard that the only way to get a man to tell the truth is to make him kneel on the CPU. Yao, should we try that too? Mengyao sweated profusely. Kneel on the CPU? Shu, your method is outdated. I heard that nowadays people kneel on the TV remote, and they beat you up every time you change the channel. The new CPU doesn't have pins anymore, so it's useless for punishment. It's fine, Yao. We can turn on the computer and remove the fan and make Shield bro kneel on it. Yushu waved her fist. Are you trying to burn him to death? Mengyao was speechless. The CPU would burn to death without a fan. Chapter 361. Chapter 361 Lin Yi's birthday gift. Oh, it's nothing. We were talking about burning a cockroach to death. Yushu still wanted to hear how Lin Yi had taught Jiang Wen and Taizao a lesson. She wouldn't dare offend Lin Yi. She changed her words immediately. What a bastard. All you've got is your mouth. Kneel to the CPU. Who knows who'll be kneeling in the future. Mengyao glared at Yushu angrily when she saw how Yushu was denying everything without any sense of loyalty. Hee. Yushu pretended like she didn't hear anything as she stood up from the sofa with a giggle. She ran over to Lin Yi. Shield bro, how did you teach Jiang Wen and Taizao a lesson? Tell me. Mengyao was annoyed at Yushu's actions, but she couldn't help but widen her eyes at Lin Yi's question. She looked at Lin Yi with widened eyes. See for yourselves. Lin Yi said as he handed the phone to Yushu. When Jianghu was recording with his phone, Lin Yi turned on his phone as well. It was just that he kept the phone in his pocket at the beginning so he could only hear their voices, not see the images. Bro Lin, come quick. I've already told the manager to get us some hot girls. Alright. Now that we're full we can play with some girls. Lin Yi's phone sounded and Meng Yao heard everything clearly. She couldn't help but glare at Lin Yi. Shu, look, I told you this guy wasn't being honest. Looks like we'll have to show this recording to Tang Yin tomorrow. Let her see what kind of person Lin Yi is. Yushu looked at Lin Yi, confused. Shil bro, are you that kind of person? We'll know if we keep watching. Lin Yi shrugged, not explaining. Yushu and Meng Yao continued listening to Lin Yi's phone, and Meng Yao frowned again when Lin Yi asked for snow and flour. Lin Yi, what else do you know about snow and flour? Lin Yi didn't say anything, gesturing for her to keep watching. Meng Yao thought that Lin Yi was feeling guilty when he didn't reply. She humphed and went back to looking at the phone. Meng Yao heard Jianghu and Tai Zhao asking for the girls and Lin Yi's cowardice. Meng Yao knew that Lin Yi was starting to pull something. He was a fearless man, why would he be afraid of trouble? Meng Yao and Yushu understood Lin Yi's plan the moment they heard him smash a bottle into the room. The people in that room weren't easy to deal with. Lin Yi was using someone else's hand to deal with Jianghu and Tai Zhao. As expected, the people in the room were pissed off, and started kicking and punching Jianghu and Tai Zhao. They could see the video now, taken by Lin Yi. Ha! Chill bro, you're amazing. You killed people without a trace. Yushu looked at the video of Jianghu and Tai Zhao getting beaten up, quite pleased. These two really shot themselves in the foot trying to find a girl for you, but they got beaten up instead. Tricks like this can only fool these two idiots. Meng Yao humphed, not giving Lin Yi any compliments. Who was the one who suspected Lin Yi just now? Haha, I can't take it anymore, I'm dying of laughter. These two are really stupid. Yushu couldn't stop laughing. Shield bro, give me a copy later, I'll watch it again when I'm free. Alright. Lin Yi nodded. After returning to his room he received a call from Kang Xiaobo. The guy was worried about his second grandpa's birthday present this weekend. Boss, what do you think I should give him? I'm bringing Fun and you with me this time after all, and it'd be embarrassing if I gave him something too cheap. Your second grandpa Dr. Kong doesn't really need anything. His family won't be interested in anything you give him. Lin Yi smiled. It depends on their attitude towards your family. According to what you said, the relationship between your two families only looks like it's okay on the surface, but if it's not, they'll think that you're poor if the gifts you give them are too cheap, and if the gifts you give them are too expensive, they'll think that you're trying to act rich. Man, you're right. Kang Xiaobo listened to Lin Yi's words and nodded. If it were Kang Ming Ming, my second grandpa would have laughed for half a day even if he gave me a calligraphy he wrote. He's his grandson after all, and Alright Xiaobo, since you're calling me boss, I'll take care of this for you. I'll prepare a special gift for him, but it's up to him whether he believes it or not, Lin Yi said after some hesitation. Boss, do you have something good? Kang Xiaobo listened to Lin Yi's words and was overjoyed. Boss, do you have a gift that can make us proud? Yes, I'm preparing something for you, but I'm afraid they won't believe it, Lin Yi said. It's fine if they don't believe me, it doesn't matter as long as the thought is there. Kang Xiaobo nodded. Boss, no matter what, I believe you. After hanging up, Lin Yi's lips curved into a smile. Dr. Kong? When his miracle Dr. Guan brand gets bigger in the future, there's no guarantee that they won't become enemies. In order to prevent him from having unrealistic thoughts, he'll use this birthday banquet to suppress him. After Lin Yi performed acupuncture on Jianghu last time, he had an idea, to make a bone-cleansing pill. Of course, it wasn't a real bone-cleansing pill. A real bone-cleansing pill required a large amount of expensive herbs. Not only was the cost frighteningly high, but the production of those herbs also meant that this pill couldn't be mass-produced. This was a pill that old Lin had given to Lin Yi to train his body when he was young. It could expel impurities from the body and cleanse the bones and marrow. But naturally Lin Yi wouldn't take something like this out. What he wanted to make was just a substitute. It could only expel the impurities and toxins from the body that hadn't been cleansed by metabolism. It couldn't truly change the body's constitution. But even so, it could extend one's lifespan by a few years or even 10 years. Of course, that was under the condition that there weren't any major problems with the body. This thing wasn't an elixir of immortality, it was just a detoxification drug. Even if it was eaten, it wouldn't cure the illness. Lin Yi's acupuncture on Jianghu had already achieved a similar effect. This could be replaced by traditional Chinese medicine. This time, when Lin Yi attended Kang Xiaobo's second grandfather's birthday banquet, He was prepared to bring out a bone-cleansing pill like this. However, Lin Yi renamed it the Pill of Life Extension and Toxin Cleansing. Chapter 362. Boss has a way, of course. Even if this thing could be mass-produced, Lin Yi didn't want to do it. He didn't want to leak the recipe either. Rare things were more valuable. People would only crazily chase after it when it was unique. Plus, once this thing was released, it would definitely attract the attention of various forces. Lin Yi didn't want to stand in the limelight just yet. He only took out a few pills. He didn't want to say that he made it himself. He just wanted to release some from time to time. This way he could keep a low profile. Originally, Lin Yi wanted to make a few pills and give them to the celebrities when Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company opened. He wanted to make Miracle Dr. Guan's name known. But it wasn't a bad idea to give one to Dr. Kong as a birthday gift. If he believed it, then his words would be more convincing. If he didn't believe it, then he could only pretend that he wasn't fated to enjoy such a good thing. Lin Yi originally wanted to wait for Kong Xiaobo's second grandpa's birthday celebration to make the pill. But because of this phone call, Lin Yi had to prepare in advance. Luckily he still had time. On Saturday afternoon Kong Xiaobo called. Lin Yi drove to Ningxia Road Station to pick up Kong Xiaobo. Tang Yun's father, Tang Juqing, was going to have surgery on Monday. Tang Yun had to stay in the hospital with her mother, so she was at the hospital. Lin Yi wanted to pick up Tang Yun after picking up Kong Xiaobo. As for Xiaofan, Kong Xiaobo had already discussed it with his parents. Lin Yi was his good brother, Tang Yun was Lin Yi's girlfriend, and Xiaofan was Tang Yun's best friend. Kong Xiaobo's parents didn't suspect anything. Instead, they thought that it was a good sign that Kong Xiaobo could bring a classmate. After all, Kong Xiaobo wasn't willing to go to his second grandpa's house in the past. The people on the other side invited him warmly, but Xiaobo continued to ignore them. Kong Xiaobo's parents didn't know that Kong Mingming had been mocking Kong Xiaobo in private. He was only pretending to be normal. The car stopped at Ningxia Road Station. Kong Xiaobo opened the door and got in. "Boss, let's go pick up Xiaofan first. She's at home." Lin Yi nodded. Xiaofan lived in the slums, so Lin Yi was familiar with the place. "Man, Fan doesn't really want to go. She said she'd go, but now she's backing out." Xiaobo sighed after getting in the car. "I tried to talk her out of it and she agreed reluctantly. Who knows if she'll regret it later. That's normal. After all, going to see Kong Xiaoming is an eternal pain in her heart. Although she was mentally prepared for it, it's understandable that she would retreat when it comes to it." Lin Yi said, "After all, Kong Mingming hurt her. Although you want to completely forget Kong Mingming in this way, you have to consider Xiaofan's opinion." "I understand too. That's why I'll always be by her side. I won't let Kong Mingming bully her." Kong Xiaobo clenched his fist. "I'll protect her from harm." "I believe you." Lin Yi nodded, but even if Kong Xiaobo didn't say it, he would still accompany Kong Xiaobo and not let anyone bully him and Xiaofan. Lin Yi parked the car in front of Xiaofan's house. Kong Xiaobo went upstairs to pick Xiaofan up. Lin Yi sat in the car and called Tang Yun. "Hello." The call was picked up very quickly and Tang Yun's voice came from the other side. "Lin Yi, are you here? My dad is asleep. I can't speak loudly." "Not yet. I accompanied Xiaobo to pick up Xiaofan," Lin Yi said. "I'm downstairs. I'll pick you up later." Tang Yun replied softly. Before she could say anything, Lin Yi heard Mrs. Tang's voice from the other side of the phone. "Yun, is that Xiaolin? Go and play. I don't need you here. Your dad hasn't undergone surgery yet. He doesn't need you to take care of him." Then it was Tang Yun's embarrassed and helpless voice. All right. Mom, I understand. You don't have to worry. I'll leave in a while, okay? Ha." Lin Yi chuckled before hanging up. Kong Xiaobo supported Xiaofan as they limped down. Xiaofan had a limp. It was obvious when she walked. She usually sat in a wheelchair at home. However, it wasn't suitable for her to sit in a wheelchair today. "I said I'd carry you down, but you didn't agree. Look, you almost fell." Kong Xiaobo saw Xiaofan stumble and almost fall at the door. He subconsciously helped her up. Xiaofan's outfit today was very fashionable and pure. She wore a candy t-shirt and a pair of jeans. Her hair was meticulously styled. She even had light makeup on her face. After her recuperation in the hospital, she looked completely different from her sickly appearance. She also wore a pair of exquisite sunglasses. She gave off a youthful and beautiful vibe. It was similar to Tang Yun's style. No wonder they were best friends. One could imagine that Xiaofan had many pursuers in the past. She wasn't inferior to Tang Yun. However, fate was unfair. It made her drop out of school and stay at home. If it wasn't for Kong Xiaobo, it would be hard for Xiaofan to walk out of her house. Although Xiaofan's heart wasn't completely open, she was much more cheerful than before. If it wasn't for her leg, Xiaofan would be even more radiant. Xiaofan is very beautiful today. Lin Yi comforted her. A girl like Fun was extremely lacking in confidence right now, and he needed to keep encouraging her. Is that so? Xiaofan lowered her head in surprise. I was afraid that Xiaobo would feel embarrassed. How could that be? It's very honorable for me to bring you out. Kang Xiaobo said. How could it be embarrassing to have such a beautiful companion? But my leg. Xiaofan knew that Kang Xiaobo was comforting her. At least to his parents he didn't dare to tell the truth. Don't worry. Boss said he will cure you. He has a way. Kang Xiaobo said and gave Lin Yi a look. Isn't that right, boss? Kang Xiaobo wanted Lin Yi to comfort Xiaofan. Even if he couldn't cure Xiaofan's leg now, he hoped that Lin Yi could give her confidence. After all, Xiaofan knew that Lin Yi knew medical skills. Xiaobo, you don't have to comfort me. The doctors in the hospital said that there's no hope. Xiaofan sighed. Chapter 363. Keep the good stuff for yourself. Lin Yi's answer was very standard, and he didn't tell Fan that he could definitely cure it, only saying that it was possible. But the more it was like that, the happier Fan was. If Lin Yi said that he could cure it, then Fan would have suspected that he was just comforting her. But Lin Yi's words increased her confidence. Lin Yi, can you really cure my leg? Fan was surprised and happy. Even Kang Xiaobo looked at Lin Yi with anticipation. Yes, but don't worry. Lin Yi smiled. That's not a problem. Lin Yi's house had a couple of nerve-stimulating drugs, concocted by old Lin in order to stimulate his body's potential. Lin Yi didn't need those drugs anymore after learning the art of dragon mastery, so he put them aside. Since Lin Yi couldn't use it himself, he didn't put much effort into researching the medicine that stimulated the body's potential. Even if he didn't go back to his house to get the medicine, he could just look it up or call Old Man Lin and ask for the formula. Yes, yes. Fan nodded excitedly. She wanted to walk like a normal person even in her dreams, and now that Lin Yi had given her hope, she was in high spirits. Kang Xiaobo was very happy about Fan's change. He told her about the interesting things in school along the way, including how Lin Yi slapped Zhou Ruoming and kicked Zhong Pingliang. Yun is so lucky to find your boss. He's a good person and treats her well. Fan was happy that she found Lin Yi. After all, Lin Yi was many times stronger than Kang Mingming. Isn't Xiaobo nice to you too? Lin Yi joked. Yeah, I'm boss's follower. Naturally, I've inherited boss's good traditions. Kang Xiaobo said confidently. Hee. Xiaofan was amused. Inherited? He didn't give birth to you? Lin Yi picked up Tang Yun downstairs of the First People's Hospital. Tang Yun couldn't believe her eyes when she saw Xiaofan in the car. You're so pretty. Tang Yun rubbed her eyes. She was used to Fan's sickly look after so many years. She didn't think that Fan would still look so pretty after dressing up. Don't joke with me, Yun. How am I as beautiful as you? Although Xiaofan said that, she was still very happy in her heart. She couldn't compare to Tang Yun, who was already very beautiful without makeup, but compared to others, Xiaofan was still very superior. Women dress up for the man they like, that's true. Are you dressing up for Kang Xiaobo? Tang Yun joked. How dare you talk about me? Yinin, why aren't you wearing your school uniform today? Your dress is so pretty, I've never seen you wear it before. Xiaofan pulled the topic back to Tang Yun. Tang Yun blushed. The dress she was wearing was bought by Lin Yi in the night market. She threw it in the closet because she was angry at Lin Yi. Now that her relationship with Lin Yi had improved, Tang Yun naturally found it and put it on. I gave it to her, Lin Yi smiled. Oh. Kang Xiaobo and Xiaofan nodded. Oh. She gave you 50 kuai. Tang Yun glared at Lin Yi. Since you said that you gave it to her, when are you going to return it to me? Haha. Lin Yi knew that Tang Yun was just joking. She wouldn't really ask for money. Right, boss, where's the present you prepared? Kang Xiaobo suddenly remembered something important. Here, Lin Yi took out an antique box from his pocket and passed it to Kang Xiaobo. Oh, what's this? It looks pretty high-end. Kang Xiaobo took the box and opened it. Boss, what's this black pill? Pill of life extension and toxin cleansing? Lin Yi said a name he just came up with. Pill of life extension and toxin cleansing? Kang Xiaobo repeated the name in shock. How come I've never heard of this before? A miracle doctor gave it to me. There's not a lot of it. Lin Yi said. After taking this pill, it can quickly expel the impurities and toxins in your body. It can extend your lifespan by 5 to 10 years. Damn, such a good thing? Can't be, boss. Why would you give it to him? Kang Xiaobo's words made Tang Yun and Xiaofan speechless. Isn't he your second grandpa? Lin Yi was also speechless. That's true. But he hasn't been good to my family for the past few years. I might as well give it to Xiaofan. Kang Xiaobo wanted to say that he ate it, but he remembered Xiaofan and said it. Xiaofan was touched, but she still said, "We're young. We don't need to eat this, right?" Xiaofan is right. Lin Yi nodded. You're young. Even if you expel the toxins, you won't be able to expel much. It's especially effective for the elderly. So that's the case. Kang Xiaobo came to a realization. But it's a waste to give it to him. I might as well keep it for myself. I still have more when you need it. I'll keep it for you. Lin Yi smiled. You should give it to your second grandpa. Okay. Kang Xiaobo looked at the pill with a pained expression. Boss, you're not lying to me, right? Is this thing really that magical? It's not magical. It's based on science. The more toxins there are in the body, the more harmful it is to the body. Especially for the elderly. If you don't pay attention when you're young, the toxins will accumulate in your body. Lin Yi explained. This thing is used to expel toxins from the body. It doesn't have any other functions. I see. Kang Xiaobo nodded. Okay, I'll give it to him since he's my second grandpa. Lin Yi drove to the provincial capital, Donghai City. Donghai City was the provincial capital. It wasn't far from Songshan City, but it wasn't too close either. It was about a 3-hour drive. Lin Yi's shabby van couldn't drive very fast. If other cars drove for more than 3 hours, Lin Yi had to drive for more than 4 hours. It couldn't be helped. The van's speed couldn't be picked up and it would easily fall apart. When the four of them arrived at the provincial capital, Donghai City, it was already 6 o'clock at night. Where are we going? Lin Yi had no sense of direction after getting off the highway. He knew nothing about the provincial capital, Donghai City. Chapter 364. Chapter 364, Master's old friend Kang Xiaobo's parents left in the morning. Kang Xiaobo said that he would come with his classmate's car, so his parents didn't wait for him. The call went through and it was Kang Xiaobo's father who picked up. Xiaobo, you've arrived? Yeah, we just got off the highway. We're at the entrance of Donghai City. Kang Xiaobo said, Dad, where are you staying? I'll go look for you. I'm staying at Moon on the Sea Hotel, Sai. Kang Fu sighed and didn't say anything for a long time. Dad, what's wrong? Kang Xiaobo paused. He felt like his father had something he couldn't say. Dad, where are you? I'm staying at the hotel your second grandpa arranged for me. Kang Fu said, but, Xiaobo, bring your classmates to another hotel, one that's more luxurious, don't neglect them. Ah? Kang Xiaobo froze. Dad, why are we staying outside? Didn't second grandpa book the whole hotel already? Sai, your second grandpa's family only reserved one room for us 3. Kang Fu said, they can't let you come back to stay by yourself, can they? Didn't you tell them that I'm bringing classmates? Kang Xiaobo panicked. I did, but your second uncle said that he was too busy and forgot. Kang Fu sighed. Whether he really forgot or not, I don't want to pursue it. But your second uncle's words are too infuriating. He said that your classmates can just find a hotel that's 30 to 20 yuan and he'll pay for it. Look, what are you talking about? Moon on the Sea, isn't that the hotel we went to last time? Didn't he book the whole resort? Why aren't there any empty rooms? Kang Xiaobo felt like he had lost face. Lin Yi, Tang Yun, and Xiaofan heard his father's conversation clearly. It made him angry. He said there will be VIPs. Forget it, Xiaobo, Dad will pay for you. Take your classmate to a more luxurious hotel. Kang Xiaobo's father was unwilling to argue on this topic. Don't neglect your classmate. Okay. Kang Xiaobo hung up the phone. He was so angry that he wanted to punch the car shed, but he finally retracted his hand. What a fucking bully. What? Last time on his second grandpa's birthday, Kang Ming found a bunch of scoundrel friends and they were all arranged to stay in the hotel. Many of them even had single rooms. His friends were fine, but his classmates had to stay in the hotel. What kind of logic was that? Forget it, Xiaobo. Lin Yi didn't think much of it. Then let's find a place ourselves. Boss, you don't know. Moon on the Sea is actually a resort. It's huge. How can there be no rooms? Kang Xiaobo said hatefully. I think they are looking down on us. Moon on the Sea? Lin Yi was slightly stunned. Is that the name? Why? Boss, you know this hotel too? Kang Ming looked at Lin Yi's stunned expression and asked curiously. Wait, let me make a call. Lin Yi hesitated for a moment before opening the door and getting out of the car. Although Lin Yi didn't want to use his previous connections, this was his last mission. After the mission he wanted to live an ordinary life. Even if he had to be the Missy's follower for the rest of his life, he would accept it. This was because this kind of life without bullets and blood on the edge was too nostalgic. However, this time, because of Kang Xiaobo, the only brother he knew after integrating into his ordinary life, Lin Yi decided to make an exception for him. Lin Yi walked to a position a little further away from the van and dialed a number. After the phone call went through, it was quickly picked up on the other side. There was a pleasant female voice. Eagle? How did you guess it was me? Lin Yi was slightly stunned. The location of the call is Donghai City. The voice was a little reproachful. At present, except for you who has a special mission there is no one there. Oh? As expected of the princess of the hacker world. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. You can immediately know my location. Even if I don't know your location, I can still deduce that your phone number belongs to Songshan. Princess snorted lightly. Locating your location is just a confirmation. Fine, I admit I'm not good at computers. Lin Yi surrendered. I have something to ask you. Is the Moon on the Sea Hotel in Donghai operated by our people? I think I saw it on a PDA before. Where's your PDA? Princess didn't answer but asked in return. My old man took it to play games. Lin Yi sweated. And he said this mission is not dangerous, so he doesn't need that thing. Play games? Princess was obviously speechless, but she didn't have the right to criticize old Lin. She could only pretend not to hear. It's operated by our people. Okay, give me the contact number of the person in charge, Lin Yi said. His contact number is. The princess gave him the contact number. Okay, then I'll hang up first. Lin Yi noted down the contact number. Don't you have anything else to say to me? Princess asked in return. What else? Lin Yi was stunned. Goodbye. Before Lin Yi could say anything else, the call was already hung up. Looking at the phone being hung up, Lin Yi smiled helplessly. This girl, what's wrong with her again? What Lin Yi didn't expect was that the owner of the Moon on the Sea Hotel in Donghai was not only one of his people, but also an old friend of his master. Although they hadn't met before, he had heard his master mention this person more than once. Lin Yi followed the contact number provided by Princess and dialed his number. Hello, who are you looking for? After the call was connected, a deep male voice came from the other side. Uncle Tian? Lin Yi asked tentatively. You are. The man who was addressed as Uncle Tian was not sure who this person was. I am Lin Yi, Lin Yi said his name. On the other side of the phone, Uncle Tian was stunned. He fell silent as if digesting the name. After a while he asked tentatively, Boss last disciple? That's me, Lin Yi said. Please tell me your code name and password in the organization. Uncle Tian was obviously a cautious person. Eagle password is. Lin Yi said a code that was a combination of numbers and English. Chapter 365. Know all kinds of people, why would I need anything? Lin Yi's identity was special, but Uncle Tian was his elder, an old friend of his Shifu. Lin Yi wouldn't put on airs. Uncle Tian, I need your help with something. Just say it. Uncle Tian was a little angry. Your boss's disciple. Your words are the same as boss's. It's like this. I'm going to his second grandpa's birthday party with my classmate, but we don't have any rooms left. Do you have a place to stay? Lin Yi asked. That's it? Uncle Tian froze. It was too simple. Are you going to Kong Lightsai's birthday party? His surname is Kong, Dr. Kong, but I'm not sure if it's this Kong Lai Kai. Lin Yi felt a chill when he heard Dr. Kang's name. As expected of a moneymaker. That's him then. Uncle Tian smiled. The entire resort has been booked by the Kong family, but I have a private villa that's not open to the public. You can just come over. Alright, I'll head over now. I'll call you when I get there. Lin Yi reminded him. I'm a student now. I understand. Uncle Tian smiled. He wouldn't ask too much about Lin Yi's identity and what he was going to do. Lin Yi hung up and returned to the car. He said to Kang Xiaobo, It's done. Let's go. Where? Kang Xiaobo was surprised. To the Moon on the Sea resort. Lin Yi said as he started the car. There's no room in the resort. Boss, you found someone? Kang Xiaobo was excited. We can stay at the Moon on the Sea resort too? Yeah. Lin Yi nodded. The owner of the hotel is an elder of mine. Damn boss, you're amazing. Kang Xiaobo was full of admiration. His eyes were blazing with passion. He could finally hold his head high and let off some steam. Didn't her second uncle not allow her to stay here? And he stayed there. It doesn't matter if he doesn't have a room. I don't need to prepare a room for him. I have a room to stay in. Seeing how excited Kang Xiaobo was, Tang Yun looked at Lin Yi curiously. This guy seemed to be able to solve any trouble easily. Did he know the owner of Donghai Ocean Moon Hotel? He knew quite a few people. Well, don't be angry. Not only do we have a room to live in, but we also live in a villa. Lin Yi smiled and comforted Kang Xiaobo. Villa? It can't be? Kang Xiaobo's eyes widened. I heard that Bright Moon over the sea has a total of 30 independent villas. Only 20 of them are open to the public, and 10 of them are for private use. That's right, boss, you know their boss. Naturally, you have a villa for private use. Although Lin Yi didn't know where Bright Moon over the sea hotel was, he removed the GPS from Yushu's Beetle and installed it in his car before he left. It was a very famous hotel. Lin Yi searched for it on the GPS and found a clear route to the hotel. Kang Xiaobo's second uncle, Kang Mingming's father, was standing at the entrance of Bright Moon over the sea resort with Kang Mingming, welcoming the guests. As for Kang Xiaobo's uncle, he was the CEO of Dr. Kang's medical group. His position was much more important than Kang Xiaobo's second uncle. He was currently in the hotel with a few important guests. Boss, that's my second uncle. The one beside him is Kang Mingming. Kang Xiaobo pointed at the person not far away and introduced him to Lin Yi. Xiaobo. Xiaofan faintly saw the figure of that person and closed her eyes in fear. This was the person that she had yearned for day and night, but at this moment Xiaofan couldn't tell what kind of feeling she had for this person. Longing? Or fear? Kang Xiaobo grabbed Fan's hand tightly and comforted her. It's okay? It's okay, boss and I are here, no one will bully you. I'm still a little scared. Fan was a little nervous as she held onto Kang Xiaobo's hand tightly, not daring to let go. It's okay. If you're not ready, just lie down and close your eyes, it'll be fine. Kang Xiaobo comforted. Okay. Fan nodded and followed Kang Xiaobo's instructions, closing her eyes and lying down. Beep beep. Lin Yi pressed the horn twice in front of the railing of the resort's driveway. Kang Mingming took a glance at Lin Yi's car and walked over impatiently. He complained to the security guard beside him. Can't your hotel's delivery car go through the back door? How many times have I told you? If you go through the front door, wouldn't it affect the guest's mood? Yes, second young Master Kang. The security guard apologized carefully, but when he looked at the license plate of Lin Yi's van, he was a little puzzled. I don't know this car. Is he a delivery car for the hotel? Delivery car, go through the back door. Kang Mingming ran over impatiently and shouted at Lin Yi while waving his hand. I'm not a delivery car, I'm here to stay. Lin Yi was a little speechless. This was the second time he was mistaken as a delivery car. Stay. This place has been booked by my family. There are no more rooms. You should go somewhere else. After Kang Mingming finished, he ignored Lin Yi and walked back. Why would a stranger waste his breath on him? Kang Mingming didn't have the time for that. Kang Xiaobo frowned, but he opened the car door and got out. Jiaming, it's me and my classmates. We're here to celebrate second grandpa's birthday. Oh. Kang Mingming saw Kang Xiaobo get out of the car and he was obviously stunned. Didn't he ask his father to tell Kang Xiaobo not to come and stay outside? Kang Mingming didn't have a good impression of Kang Xiaobo. At his grandpa's birthday party, Kang Xiaobo didn't give him any face at all. He was cold to his big brother, which made Kang Ming feel very embarrassed. Which of his relatives did not fawn over him with the utmost respect? Why are you, Kang Xiaobo, so arrogant? Although you're also a member of the Kang family, you're not from my bloodline. What's there to be arrogant about? Alright, since you're so arrogant, then just you wait. When Kang Mingming heard that Kang Xiaobo invited his classmates to his grandpa's birthday party, he subconsciously thought that Kang Xiaobo wanted to show off his family's power to his classmates. His second grandpa was the famous Dr. Kang. However, since Kang Ming already had a grudge against Kang Xiaobo, how could he let him have his way? Since you want to show off, I'll make you lose face. Therefore, he purposely asked his father to tell Kang Xiaobo's father that there was no more room in the resort. He asked Kang Xiaobo to find a hotel to stay with his classmates and then reimburse him. Chapter 366. Tit for tat. Kang Mingming looked at his father, who was puzzled as well. Kang Xiaobo's father had informed Kang Xiaobo's father, so why didn't he inform Kang Xiaobo? Xiaobo, didn't your dad tell you? The resort is full, and we didn't arrange a room for you and your classmates. Kang Mingming feigned innocence. How about this, why don't you and your classmates stay at the hotel next door? There's a small hotel there, it's only 30 to 40 kuai a night. I'll reimburse you tomorrow? Oh Xiaoming, you don't have to worry about that. We've already booked a room here. Kang Xiaobo said faintly. We don't need you to arrange it. What? Kang Mingming blinked. You booked a room here? Impossible. I've booked all the rooms that are open to the public. Who are you trying to fool? Why would I lie to you? Kang Xiaobo shrugged, feeling good watching Kang Mingming go crazy. Xiaobo, I know you don't want to lose face in front of your classmates and I understand how you feel. Kang Mingming's words were sincere, but he purposely raised his voice so that Lin Yi and the others could hear him. But you have to know that most of the guests for my grandpa's birthday are dignitaries. They can't even fit in the rooms, so why would there be rooms for your classmates? Plus, you're not grandpa's blood-related grandson, so there's no way they'll take care of you when arranging rooms. That's none of your concern. Kang Xiaobo wasn't angry at all. You've booked the rooms that are open to the public, but don't you have rooms that aren't open to the public as well? We've booked rooms that aren't open to the public. After that, Kang Xiaobo stopped talking to Kang Mingming. He opened the railing in front of the car and got in. Xiaoming was pissed off. Perhaps it was because Xiaobo knew the staff here, or maybe he'd arranged a staff restroom for them. Still, he wasn't satisfied with letting him in just like that. Forget it, illuminate. Kang Mingming's father waved his hand. Although he also looked down on his nephew's family as an elder, he couldn't do too much. What the hell is this? Do you think you're some big shot now? Kang Mingming watched as Lin Yi's old car drove into the resort. He couldn't help but curse. Isn't it embarrassing to drive a lousy car? Alright, illuminate, your grandfather still cares about his face. Don't be too rude in front of outsiders. Anyway, he's a relative who doesn't interact with you all year round. If he wants to show off, then let him. He won't get any practical benefits anyway. Kang Mingming's father, Kang Tsuepu, shook his head and smiled as he welcomed an Audi that was about to drive into the resort. Xiao Wang, you're here too. After Lin Yi entered the resort, he contacted Uncle Tian. Because of Lin Yi's repeated refusal and instructions, Uncle Tian didn't come out to welcome him personally. Instead, he sent a confidant to welcome Lin Yi. However, even the confidant didn't know Lin Yi's true identity. Lin Yi wanted to keep a low profile. If he was so close to the resort's boss in a high-profile manner, it was inevitable that he would be noticed by the Kang family. This time, Lin Yi accompanied Kang Xiaobo as a bystander. His main goal was to let Xiaofan clearly see the ugly faces of Kang Mingming and the others and completely erase him from her memory. If Lin Yi exposed the fact that he was close to Uncle Tian, then Kang Mingming might change his attitude and purposely get close to him to flatter him. That way Xiaofan wouldn't be able to see his true colors. Young Master Lin, hello. Xiao Tian asked me to come over. A man in his 30s walked quickly to Lin Yi's car. He didn't look down on Lin Yi's old car at all. His eyes maintained a respectful expression without a trace of suspicion. I'm Li Yixuan. Young Master Lin can just call me Xiao Li. Uncle Tian must have told him the car number, so he immediately confirmed Lin Yi's identity. Mr. Li can just bring us to the villa, Lin Yi said politely. Young Master Lin, please follow me. Li Yixuan nodded. Do you want me to get in the car, or do you want to take my car? Li Yixuan said and pointed to a business car parked not far away. Mr. Li, please get in the car. I can drive myself, Lin Yi said. Li Yixuan didn't say much. He got in the car and pointed the way to Lin Yi. It didn't take long for him to arrive in front of a villa by the seaside. This villa had the best view out of all the villas in the area. However, there was a "for personal use" sign at the door of the villa. It was obviously not open to the public. Young Master Lin, the villa is ready. You can move in now. Li Yixuan said and gave Lin Yi a name card. This is my contact number. If you need anything, young Master Lin can contact me directly. Okay, thank you. Lin Yi took the name card and kept it. Li Yixuan didn't speak much. He nodded and left. This kind of person was important because of his style of doing things. He didn't talk much and didn't ask much. Young Master Lin? Boss, are you really a young master from a rich family? Didn't you say you only have a rich relative? Kang Xiaobo heard Li Yixuan call Lin Yi young Master Lin. He looked at Lin Yi excitedly. Boss, be honest. Are you the rumored rich second generation? Do I look like it? Lin Yi smiled bitterly. Your brother is... Xiaofan. Kang Xiaobo wanted to tease him, but when he looked down he saw that Xiaofan's face was covered in tears. He was so scared that his heart was about to explode. Xiaofan, don't cry. What's wrong? Lin Yi and Tang Yun heard Kang Xiaobo's voice. They turned around and saw Xiaofan's tear-stained face. However, Lin Yi and Tang Yun didn't know what to say. This was expected. Xiaofan saw Kang Mingming again. Although they didn't meet face to face, just looking at him from afar was enough to shake Xiaofan's fragile heart. At this time, only Kang Xiaobo could comfort her. Lin Yi and Tang Yin didn't know what to say. Xiaobo, carry Xiaofan into the room and comfort her? Lin Yi suggested. Okay. Kang Xiaobo nodded and ran into the villa with Xiaofan in his arms. Let's go in later. Lin Yi sighed. He stopped the car in front of the villa and turned off the engine. Chapter 367. Do you dare? I hope so. Lin Yi nodded. Every family has their own problems. Kang Xiaobo's family is very complicated, and they don't have much of a family relationship. Yeah, a rich family like that can't even compare to us poor families. Tang Yun said. They don't have that much wealth and they don't have that many problems. Right, how's your brother's situation? Lin Yi suddenly remembered about Tang Yun's cousin. I gave him the money and he should have returned it already. He hasn't called in the past few days and I've been busy with dad's surgery with mom. Tang Yun said. But don't worry, I'll definitely return the money to you. Ha, I don't mean for you to return the money. Don't think too much about it and tell your brother not to feel too much pressure. Lin Yi said. Yeah. Tang Yun nodded and raised her head. You really don't need me to return it? No need. Lin Yi said. Why are you so nice to me? Tang Yun was a little agitated as she looked at Lin Yi without blinking. Nice. It's not that nice, is it? Lin Yi scratched his head. He couldn't take Tang Yun's direct gaze. Tang Yun laughed out loud. It was a serious topic, but Lin Yi's words turned it into a joke. Then do you dare to be nicer to me? Tang Yun wanted to ask Lin Yi if he wanted to be with her for the rest of his life, but Lin Yi's answer made it hard for her to continue asking. It was good that she didn't ask, though. It would save both of them from the awkwardness. Who knew what would happen in the future? For the first time, Tang Yun joked with Lin Yi. Of course. Lin Yi nodded. Haha. Tang Yun laughed happily. Remember what you said, how will you stay at night? Lin Yi suddenly thought of the problem of staying at night. Kang Xiaobo should be accompanying Xiaofan, then he and Tang Yun. Lin Yi couldn't help but get excited. Could he share a room with Tang Yun? Of course it's me and Xiaofan living together. How could Tang Yun not know what Lin Yi was thinking? She snorted and said, don't think about those messy things. Before marriage it's impossible, ugh. Lin Yi sweated. Did Tang Yun see through his thoughts just like that? However, Tang Yun thought that marriage was a bit too much. At least there were many couples living together before marriage. She was afraid that Lin Yi would be disappointed, so she added, at least before you bring me to see your parents, it's impossible. I'm actually an orphan. Lin Yi sighed self-deprecatingly. Tang Yun widened her eyes and looked at Lin Yi in disbelief. You're an orphan? Yeah. Lin Yi nodded. I don't even know who my real parents are. I'm sorry? Tang Yun didn't think that Lin Yi was an orphan. Then her words were inappropriate. I didn't know you were an orphan. I didn't say anything just now. It's fine. I'm used to it. Lin Yi shook his head indifferently, but my family has an old man who raised me up and a strict master. Speaking of which, they are my elders. I'll bring you to see them when the time comes. Tang Yun saw that Lin Yi wasn't disappointed and secretly sighed in relief. At the same time, she was happy that Lin Yi planned to bring her to see his old man and master. Although she didn't know who these two people were, she knew that they weren't ordinary people. Otherwise, if Lin Yi was willing to bring her there, it meant that he approved of her. Tang Yun thought that Lin Yi was a rich young master, but she didn't think that he was an orphan. Although Tang Yun knew more about Lin Yi and knew that he didn't have the temperament of a rich young master, she just thought that it was because he had a good upbringing. She didn't know that his background was like this. However, Tang Yun put down the idea that Lin Yi's family was out of reach. She was afraid that Lin Yi's family was rich and wouldn't admit her relationship with Lin Yi. Now, it seemed that this worry was unnecessary. It made Tang Yun feel much better. Boss, come in. Xiaofan is asleep. Tang Yun was thinking about Lin Yi's background when Kang Xiaobo ran out and shouted at the car. Tang Yun frowned slightly. She was getting along well with Lin Yi, but it was ruined by Kang Xiaobo. She got out of the car and glared at Kang Xiaobo. Aren't you afraid of waking Xiaofan up by shouting so loudly? Kang Xiaobo didn't dare to talk back after being scolded by Tang Yun. He could only explain weakly, this villa is soundproof. Umph. Tang Yun snorted and ignored Kang Xiaobo. She walked in front of him and stepped on his foot. Then she walked into the villa. Kang Xiaobo didn't know what happened to Tang Yun. He looked at Lin Yi helplessly. Boss, what happened to sis-in-law? Why is she so angry? How would I know? She was about to kiss me and was interrupted by you. Lin Yi shrugged. No way. Even this was interrupted by me? It seems like I'm a sinner. Kang Xiaobo looked like he deserved it. It's over. Sister-in-law's impression of me has worsened. Lin Yi was too lazy to care about him. He locked the car and entered the villa with Kang Xiaobo. Tang Yun was sitting on the sofa in the living room. Xiaofan was lying beside her. She hadn't woken up yet. What are we eating tonight? Lin Yi glanced at Tang Yun and asked softly. Anything. Instant noodles will do. Why don't we wait for Xiaofan to wake up? Tang Yun looked at the time on her phone. Although it was time for dinner, it wasn't appropriate for her to eat since Xiaofan was asleep. Xiaofan didn't wake up until 8 o'clock at night. The fear in her heart had dissipated, and her spirit had recovered a lot. Hearing that everyone was waiting for her without eating, Xiaofan was very touched. She said embarrassedly, I'm sorry I made everyone worry. Xiaofan, we are actually here to accompany you. You don't have to worry about us. Tang Yun waved her hand. We are the happiest that you can walk out of the shadow. Yeah, Xiaofan, are you hungry? Boss has been waiting for you. Kang Xiaobo also asked. I'm fine with eating anything. Xiaofan shook her head. Let's eat whatever there is. It's already so late, there shouldn't be anything to eat, right? Chapter 368. The troublemaker is here. As for tomorrow's birthday banquet, it was an important occasion. Kang Mingming wouldn't be so rude as to make fun of Xiaofan. Although he and Kang Xiaobo were from different branches, they were still part of the Kang family in front of outsiders. If Kang Mingming were to attack Kang Xiaobo, then he would only be a laughing stock. So tomorrow was the best time to bring Xiaofan out and let her and Kang Mingming end things. After Kang Xiaobo gave the gift, they would leave quickly. There's instant noodles here. Let's eat first. Lin Yi opened the glass cabinet and took out the instant food. There were instant noodles, instant rice, ham sausages and other instant food. These people weren't picky people. It didn't matter what they ate as long as there was food to fill their stomachs. After eating the instant noodles, everyone went to rest. Tang Yun supported Xiaofan to a room upstairs, not giving Lin Yi and Kang Xiaobo any chance. Lin Yi, on the other hand, didn't really care. He and Tang Yun weren't really in a relationship, and they didn't express anything. They were just getting closer to each other. They hadn't even kissed yet, so how could they live together? Kang Xiaobo, on the other hand, was slightly disappointed. How sad, I wanted to get closer to Xiaofan, but I don't have the chance anymore. There will be chances in the future. Lin Yi patted Kang Xiaobo's shoulder. Xiaofan's not in a good mood today. Even if you want to do something else, she probably won't be in the mood. Why don't you wait for Kang Mingming's matter to be resolved? Once it's over, Xiaofan will be able to open up her heart. Boss, you're right. I was too anxious. Kang Xiaobo sweated. I'll listen to you. Haha. Lin Yi laughed. Let's go, we're going to rest. With that, Lin Yi found a room downstairs and was about to enter when Kang Xiaobo followed. Boss, wait for me. Why are you following me? Lin Yi turned around and asked curiously. Haha, boss, I want to sleep with you. Xiaobo said with a chuckle. Fuck. Lin Yi felt a chill. Don't you like Xiaofan? Boss, you misunderstood, I'm very normal. I just want to chat with you. Kang Xiaobo sweated. I'm a little worried about my parents' attitude towards Xiaofan. Lin Yi realized that the guy wasn't worried about his sexual orientation, he was worried about his parents' attitude. Let's chat then, it's nothing. Lin Yi sighed. That's up to you. Fan's a good girl, but she got tricked. I'm sure your parents will understand if you tell them the truth. Yeah, I think so too, but I don't have enough confidence. I've been thinking that I'll talk to them about this when I can make a name for myself with Xiaofan and make them look at me differently. But time waits for no man. Kang Xiaobo sighed. My parents will know about my relationship with Xiaofan tomorrow, I'm afraid they'll object. Haha, it's not impossible for you to make a career. Don't worry, I'll give you a chance soon. Lin Yi was thinking about his spokesperson. It would be a good idea to push Kang Xiaobo out, especially with the fact that Kang Xiaobo was Dr. Kang's relative. Miracle Dr. Guan would be able to make a name for himself in the market. Even patients who didn't believe in Miracle Dr. Guan's medicine would think that Kang Xiaobo also had the golden creation formula after knowing about the relationship between Kang Xiaobo and Dr. Kang. Really? Kang Xiaobo's eyes lit up when he heard Lin Yi's words. He shouted excitedly, Boss, you're too good to me. I go to sleep. We need to be energetic to deal with Kang Mingming tomorrow, Lin Yi reminded him. Yes, I'll go to sleep now. Kang Xiaobo nodded and left, finding a room to sleep in. Lin Yi, Kang Xiaobo, Tang Yun, and Xiaofan left the villa at 9 a.m. the next day. They still had instant noodles for breakfast. Although Li Yixuan wanted to send some food to Lin Yi, the boss didn't tell him and Lin Yi didn't call, so Li Yixuan didn't want to disturb Lin Yi. The tit-for-tat at the entrance of the resort yesterday made Xiaoming feel like he had lost a lot of face. He was the direct descendant of Miracle Dr. Kang, and yet he couldn't deal with a side relative. This made him very angry. At night, he found a familiar waiter and asked him to find out which room Kang Xiaobo and the others were staying in. He wanted to bring his men to humiliate them, but he couldn't find out anything. He could only let them go. It was impossible for them not to show up today. It was his grandfather's birthday banquet. Kang Xiaobo and the others would definitely come. Kang Mingming brought his men to wait at the entrance of the banquet hall. When Kang Xiaobo and the others came, he would humiliate them. Do you remember what second young master Kang said? One of Kang Mingming's men, Zhu Xiaozhang, gave a few bills to the security guards at the entrance and asked them arrogantly. I remember. Don't worry, Zhu bro. A security captain took the bills and said respectfully. Don't call me Zhu bro. Zhu Xiaozhang glared at him. Zhu bro and pig bro had the same pronunciation, which made him a little unhappy. Call me Xiaozhang bro, understand? Xiaozhang bro and arrogant bro had the same pronunciation, so Zhu Xiaozhang preferred people to call him arrogant bro. He was Kang Mingming's #1 lackey. With Kang Mingming's name, he was indeed very arrogant. No one dared to mess with him. Yes, arrogant bro. The security captain quickly said. They're here. Another of Kang Mingming's men, Wang Shubing, had sharp eyes. He saw Lin Yi's broken van driving towards them. He had already memorized the license plate number. Last night he went back and forth to look for the van, but he couldn't find it. The security captain and the guards who were in charge of guarding the door nodded. The two understood and rushed towards the van, ready to make trouble. Lin Yi was in the van. He saw Kang Mingming and his men talking to each other. They must be planning something. He curled his lips. Xiaobo, Kang Mingming is standing at the door. He will definitely cause trouble later. Be careful. Chapter 369. Why did she come? Chapter 369. Why did she come? And? Xiaofan already knew that Kang Mingming didn't like her at all and was just playing with her. Kang Mingming would never change his mind. Although Kang Mingming's family moved from Songshan to Donghai, the two cities weren't far apart. He would have come back to see Xiaofan a long time ago if he wanted to. Why would he ignore her? The reason why Xiaofan was so determined to face Kang Xiaoming again was because she wanted to let her subconscious know that Kang Xiaoming was a bad guy. He wasn't her lover at all. Lin Yi parked the car and got out, followed by Kang Xiaobo, Tang Yun and Xiaofan. You guys, what are you here for? Security A pointed at Lin Yi and asked. We're here for the birthday banquet. Kang Xiaobo suppressed his anger and looked at the three security guards. He knew that they were sent by Kang Mingming after Lin Yi's reminder. Xiaofan grabbed onto Kang Xiaobo's hand tightly, not daring to let go. She didn't even dare to look at Kang Mingming. Birthday banquet? Where's the invitation? Take it out. Security B extended his hand and asked. I'm here for my second grandpa's birthday banquet. Why would I need an invitation? Kang Xiaobo frowned. Your second grandpa? Who's your second grandpa? I think you're all liars, aren't you? The security captain spoke up with a slanted glance. My second grandpa is Dr. Kang. Kang Xiaobo was getting impatient. Don't be instigated by others. Instigate? What are you talking about? The security captain was angered. Look at you guys dressed like this, wearing rags that only cost tens of kwai. Who would believe that Dr. Kang is your second grandpa? And you're here for the birthday banquet? I think you're all liars, right? Are you here to scam food and drink? Who are you calling a liar? Kang Xiaobo was anxious. Lin Yi tugged at Kang Xiaobo, motioning him to calm down. He glanced at the security captain and said lightly, What's your name? What the fuck do you care about my name? I'm telling you, you liars should leave as soon as possible or I'll call the police. The security captain sneered and did not answer Lin Yi's words. Looks like I have to give brother Li Yixuan a call. Why are the security guards under him so high class? Kick the guests out? Lin Yi shook his head in disdain and reached into his pocket. Where did I put the business card? Oh, here it is. Seeing that Lin Yi mentioned Li Yixuan's name and really took out Li Yixuan's name card to make a call, the security captain was immediately dumbfounded. Of course, he knew what kind of person Li Yixuan was. He was the confidant of the big boss, President Tian. In this resort, when President Tian was not around, he was President Tian's spokesperson. Not to mention that he was just a small security captain. Even the security captain or the security manager was nothing in front of Li Yixuan. Previously, when he helped Kang Mingming to cause trouble for Lin Yi, the security captain was only doing it for the sake of money. But on Lin Yi's side, it was not as simple as money. If he offended Kang Mingming, at most he would lose his money. If he offended Lin Yi, he would lose his job. Big brother. Don't call. I have eyes but fail to recognize you. Please don't lower yourself to my level. The security captain was about to cry. It turned out that the person who drove the broken van was the real god. He knew Li Yixuan. Even if their relationship was not that good and they were just friends, Li Yixuan would definitely not offend Lin Yi for a small security captain like him. In Li Yixuan's eyes, he was just an insignificant person. If he was fired, there would be too many people who would want to replace him. On the other side, on Kang Mingming's side, they did not notice the conversation between Lin Yi and the security captain. The person they were paying attention to was Xiaofan, who was beside Kang Xiaobo. Second young Master Kang, look at the woman beside your idiot brother. Why does she look like the woman you used to play with? Zhu Xiaozhang pointed at Xiaofan and said in surprise. You don't say, but it really looks like that little slut Lan Fen. Kang Mingming also widened his eyes in disbelief. Wasn't she killed by a car? Why is she still alive? I don't know. I gave the driver 500,000 yuan to kill her. Why didn't she die? Zhu Xiaozhang also thought it was strange. I spent 500,000 yuan for nothing. Xiaozhang, don't mention this anymore. Kang Mingming glared at him. How could he casually talk about hiring someone to kill someone? Fortunately, the three of them had done bad things together so no one could criticize each other. Zhu Xiaozhang and Wang Shubing were involved in Xiaofan's incident. It's just the three of us. Zhu Xiaozhang also felt that he had said something wrong. This matter really couldn't be casually talked about. If it was spread out, he would go to jail. But thinking about it, Xiaofan's family didn't have much power and was extremely poor. Even if they heard this rumor, they couldn't do anything to them. Why is Xiaofan here? Doesn't she know that I am Kang Xiaobo's brother? Kang Mingming was curious about Xiaofan's purpose of coming here. Logically speaking, if Xiaofan knew that he was Kang Xiaobo's cousin, she wouldn't come here to embarrass herself. He didn't think that Xiaofan was here to cause trouble. Since she dared to come here to cause trouble, it was impossible for her to get any benefits. He wouldn't give it to her. She shouldn't be stupid. She wouldn't come here to embarrass herself, right? I was worried that I couldn't find a reason to humiliate them. Let's go and humiliate them. Zhu Xiaozhang smiled and suggested. Let's go and see what this bitch wants to do. Kang Mingming also wanted to see what Xiaofan was here for. You guys move aside first. Zhu Xiaozhang waved his hand at the security team leader, indicating that there was nothing for them to do. Zhu Xiaozhang's attention was on Xiaofan. He didn't see what happened between Lin Yi and the security team leader. He thought that they were humiliated badly. Yes. The security team leader was thinking about how to leave, but Zhu Xiaozhang came and gave him a chance to leave. If he didn't leave now, when would he leave? The security team leader quickly left with his subordinates. This kind of family's internal conflict wasn't something an outsider could participate in. Although it seemed that Kang Xiaobo's side was at a disadvantage, they actually knew Li Yixuan. The security team leader regretted it. If he knew this would happen, he wouldn't have gotten involved for a few hundred yuan. Chapter 370. A slap. Whether it was Kang Mingming, Zhu Xiaozhang, or Wang Shubin, they all thought that Xiaofan came here by accident, and she didn't know that Kang Mingming would show up here. The most amazing thing was that Xiaofan's boyfriend seemed to be Kang Xiaobo. Xiaofan was shaking with anger after hearing Zhu Xiaozhang's words. She held onto Kang Xiaobo's hand tightly, her eyes filled with stubborn anger. Xiaofan knew Zhu Xiaozhang. He was one of Kang Mingming's followers. Back then, when she and Kang Mingming were together, he followed behind her and called her sister-in-law sweet and sweet. But now he was calling her a bitch. I don't know you. Who are you? Xiaofan understood Kang Mingming's feelings after hearing Zhu Xiaozhang's words. She finally gave up on Kang Mingming. If Kang Mingming had a shred of consideration for their relationship, he wouldn't have let Zhu Xiaozhang say those words. And after Zhu Xiaozhang said those words, Kang Mingming acted as if it was only natural. This meant that Kang Mingming never loved her. He was just toying with her feelings. Xiaofan was heartbroken, but she understood that he wasn't her lover. He was a demon. Xiaofan believed all the rumors she heard before. It was said that Kang Mingming changed girlfriends as fast as he changed clothes. She didn't believe it at first, but looking at his face right now, she had to believe it. Do you think that you can't admit what happened in the past just because you climbed up a high branch? Zhu Xiaozhang looked at Kang Xiaobo with a grin. Kid, did she trick you? Don't you know she's a second-hand trash? Our second young master Kang played with her until she was ruined, and you picked her up and treated her like a treasure? Yeah, Xiaobo, this woman was left behind after I played with her. How could you pick her up? If my uncle found out, wouldn't it be too embarrassing? Kang Mingming walked over with a kind look and said to Kang Xiaobo, don't be fascinated by this woman just because she looks pure. Kang Mingming, you're shameless. Xiaofan was shaking with anger as she pointed at Kang Mingming. Xiaofan never thought that Kang Mingming would be so shameless. Not only did he dump her, he even slandered her. I'm shameless? I don't think so. Kang Mingming shrugged. Some people like to be played by others. Who is to blame? I'm just reminding my brother not to be tricked by some bitch. Enough. Seeing that Xiaofan was about to cry, Kang Xiaobo suddenly roared, Kang Mingming, you'll die a horrible death. How can you say that about Xiaofan? You're her first love. She loved you deeply and gave everything to you. How can you say that about her? Do you still have a conscience? You don't even call me cousin because of a bitch? You even called me by my name? Kang Mingming sneered, her first love? So what? Who asked her to be a fool? I'm tired of playing with her, so naturally I don't want her anymore. Am I supposed to raise her all the time? Although my family is rich, the number of women that I dumped is at least 80. If I bring all of them home to raise, I'll be poor. Hearing Kang Mingming's shameless words, Xiaofan finally couldn't hold back her tears. He was too shameless, destroying the last bit of hope in Xiaofan's heart. Even if he calmly said that he didn't like her anymore so they broke up, Xiaofan could still accept it. But Kang Mingming said that she was a fool. He said that she gave everything for him was a fool. Xiaofan cried, she cried sadly. How can you say that? I already knew that you're not a good person. I should have forcefully broken you guys up. Tang Yun was infuriated as well. She pointed at Kang Xiaoming, the heartless bastard, and couldn't help but curse. You are too wicked. I was wondering who it was. Isn't this Tang Yun? I haven't seen you for a few years. You've gotten prettier? Why is this your boyfriend? He's just SOSO. Kang Mingming glanced at Lin Yi with a hint of jealousy. Back then he failed to pursue Tang Yun, so he changed to pursue Xiaofan. He was still brooding over the fact that he didn't get Tang Yun. Driving this broken car is really degrading. Tang Yun, I didn't expect your taste to be so bad. That's right. Follow our second young master Kang. I'll buy you a 200,000 yuan car tomorrow. Zhu Xiaozhang jumped out and promised to Tang Yun, you won't have a future if you follow this idiot. Lin Yi didn't want to get involved in Kang Xiaobo's family business. No matter what, it was his family business. Letting him settle it himself was the best solution. Lin Yi was only a bystander. He only needed to watch Xiaofan's illness. But he did not expect that this Zhu Xiaozhang diverted the trouble to someone else and bullied his head. If Lin Yi could endure being called an idiot, he wouldn't be Lin Yi. A crisp slap flew over, causing Zhu Xiaozhang to stumble on the ground. Zhu Xiaozhang cried out in pain. He spun 3 times on the ground and spat out 2 bloody teeth. His cheeks instantly swelled up like a steamed bun. Security, security. Arrest them. Xiaozhang was stunned by the slap, and when he came back to his senses, he started yelling incoherently. How dare Lin Yi hit him? The security captain was hiding far away, watching the confrontation between the two groups of House Kang. He wanted to watch the show, but he didn't think that Zhu Xiaozhang would get slapped by Lin Yi. That wasn't a big deal, but the problem was that Zhu Xiaozhang called for security after getting slapped. The security captain was in a difficult position. He regretted not running far away. Now he was in a dilemma. If he went, he would definitely offend Lin Yi. He didn't know what kind of relationship this guy had with Li Yixuan. Offending him wouldn't end well. But they couldn't ignore Zhu Xiaozhang's call. They had just received a few hundred kuai tips from Zhu Xiaozhang. It wouldn't be right to turn their backs on him so quickly. Moreover, Zhu Xiaozhang was staring at them. As the security guards of the resort, they had to show up. Just as the security captain was in a dilemma, another group of security guards ran over. One of them was a fat security captain. When he heard Zhu Xiaozhang's call for help, he rushed over. Brother Xiaozhang, what's wrong? This fat security captain was called Zhong Dingwei. He was the captain in charge of the banquet hall's security. He had received a 2,000 kuai red packet from the Kang family, so he did his best for the Kang family. Chapter 371. Another slap. That kid, he hit me. Take him to the security room and teach him a lesson. Zhu Xiaozhang held his cheek as he mumbled. He's here to cause trouble. Zhu Xiaozhang was furious, but no one had dared to hit him since he'd been a lackey for Kang Mingming for so many years. As the saying goes, you need to look at the owner before you hit a dog. Naturally, people had to give face to Kang Mingming. But he wasn't an idiot, he only told the security to take Lin Yi away, not Kang Xiaobo. No matter what, Kang Xiaobo was still a member of House Kang. Humiliating him was fine, but beating him up would be a big deal. It'd be hard to explain it to Dr. Kang if he asked. Everyone knew that Dr. Kang cared about his face the most. Putting aside how he treated Kang Xiaobo's family in private, he still had to act respectfully on the surface. Otherwise, he wouldn't have invited Kang Xiaobo's family to his birthday party. The captain of the security team, Zhong Dingwei, looked at Lin Yi as he made up his mind. The kid's clothes were all cheap, and he didn't look like he had any background or status. "Kid, how dare you cause trouble in Moon on the Sea Resort? You've got guts. Come with us." Lin Yi. Tang Yin was a little nervous. She pulled on Lin Yi's arm, not wanting him to leave. Although Lin Yi had beaten up the big foreign school, that was still a school. They were in society now, and these security guards clearly didn't have good intentions. Would Lin Yi be able to come back if he went with them? Lin Yi squeezed Tang Yin's hand and whispered into her ear. "It'll be fine. Don't forget that I know their boss." Tang Yun's ears went soft from Lin Yi's whispers. She blushed and looked at him. Even at a time like this, he still didn't forget to play tricks on her. Lin Yi was right. He knew the boss here. What was there to be afraid of? Zhong Dingwei saw that Lin Yi was ignoring him and whispering to the girl beside him. His face darkened. This was provocation and contempt. "You think you're awesome? I'm talking to you, didn't you hear me?" Zhong Dingwei reached out to pull Lin Yi's collar, but Lin Yi pushed him aside. "Where did the dog come from? Are you retarded? Which eye of yours saw me hit him?" "I'd say he hit himself." Lin Yi laughed coldly. His eyes suddenly turned to where the security captain was hiding. "Don't you think so?" The captain didn't get along with Zhong Dingwei. He wanted to see Zhong Dingwei make a fool of himself. He didn't think that Lin Yi would ask him to come out and testify. Cold sweat formed on the captain's forehead. He didn't dare offend Lin Yi, but he just accepted Zhu Xiaozhang's money. He'd be offending both sides if he kept his mouth shut, and wouldn't be getting any favors from either side. The captain made up his mind. He already had a grudge against Zhong Dingwei. So what if he helped Lin Yi testify? Hence he rushed out and pointed at Zhu Xiaozhang. "I saw it. He hit himself." "Zhong Dingwei, you're the captain of the banquet hall. I'm in charge of the security outside. Why are you sticking your nose in?" "Ah." Zhong Dingwei blinked. "Zhu Xiaozhang hit himself? Is this for real?" However, when he saw Zhu Xiaozhang's vicious eyes, he understood. Zhu Xiaozhang definitely didn't hit himself. Who would be so stupid as to hit themselves for fun? "Old Sui, this has nothing to do with you. Do you want to testify? Do you know who Mr. Zhu Xiaozhang is? He's second young Master Kang's." Before Zhong Dingwei finished, he was interrupted by Lin Yi. "It's just a dog." Lin Yi curled his lips. "Ha ha ha." Kang Xiaobo laughed. In this situation, Lin Yi still dared to make such a joke. This made Kang Xiaobo feel very refreshed. All this time, Kang Xiaoming had always been the one suppressing him, but now the people on his side were being trampled by Lin Yi. The most amazing thing was that someone came to testify. Zhu Xiaozhang's face turned the color of pig liver. Kang Mingming's face didn't look too good either. He didn't know where this Lin Yi came from. How could he make old Sui, the captain of the security team, betray him? "Kid, who the fuck are you? Do you believe that I won't let you leave Moon on the Sea?" Zhu Xiaozhang was going crazy. When had he ever been humiliated like this? He came here to humiliate Kang Xiaobo and Lan Fun. He didn't expect to be humiliated by someone else. If he didn't get his revenge, he wouldn't be able to raise his head in the upper class of Donghai. Slap. It was another loud slap. But this time no one saw Lin Yi make a move. This time, Zhu Xiaozhang's swollen face was on the right side. According to the palm print, he was hit with his left hand. But now Lin Yi's left hand was holding Tang Yun's hand. You dare hit me? Captain Zhong, did you see this? He was the one who hit me. Hurry up and bring him back. We have a witness here. Let's see if he still won't admit it." Zhu Xiaozhang bared his fangs and brandished his claws as he yelled, "All of you keep an eye on him. I'll teach him a lesson after the banquet ends." But this time Kang Mingming and Wang Shubin didn't speak up for Zhu Xiaozhang. Zhong Dingwei, on the other hand, was stunned. The first slap was indeed from Lin Yi, but who was the one who did the second slap? Lin Yi's left hand was holding Tang Yun's hand. This was a fact that everyone saw. Plus, no one saw him make a move. What's wrong with you guys? Zhu Xiaozhang waited for a while, but Zhong Dingwei didn't move. Kang Mingming and Wang Shubin didn't say anything either. He felt that something was wrong. You really are a lackey. You only have the IQ of a dog. Lin Yi looked at Zhu Xiaozhang with sympathy. You're starting to get delusional. There are so many people here and no one saw me hit you. But you're saying that I hit you. You're hopeless. I suggest you buy some retarded pills. Maybe it will increase your IQ. Ah. Xiaobo started laughing heartily. He'd never felt so proud of himself before, and seeing Zhu Xiaozhang and the others get humiliated was incredibly satisfying. Even Fun, who'd been crying a while ago, had a smile on her face. She too felt like she'd vented her anger. Chapter 372. Suffering in silence. Tang Yun had thought that it was just her imagination, but it seemed like that wasn't the case. Lin Yi had made his move, but it was too fast and too ingenious. No one saw how he did it. Tang Yun was pleasantly surprised. She blamed Lin Yi for being so evil, making Zhu Xiaozhang suffer in silence. It's your doing, right? Xiaozhang didn't believe that Lin Yi wasn't the one who hit him. His face was swollen. Captain Zhong, pull out the recording and see if it's him. Xiaozhang wasn't that stupid. He was furious, but he still thought of using the recording as evidence. I'm sorry, but I'm the one in charge of the security at the entrance. I refuse your request. Old Sui was already standing firmly on Lin Yi's side, so he had to go all the way. There's so many people here and none of them saw this Mr. hit someone. Your request is unreasonable. Are you saying that we're all blind? Xiaozhang of course wasn't calling him blind. Even if he did, he wouldn't say it out loud. He was only suspecting that Lin Yi had used some sort of distraction tactic to achieve his goal. Old Sui, you're here to protect these troublemakers, aren't you? Dingwei couldn't find any evidence, but he couldn't just ignore what was happening in front of him. He had to start from another angle. I'm just telling the truth. I really didn't see anything and neither did you. Old Sui said faintly. All right, Old Sui. Don't you know that Mr. Zhu and Master Kong are our honored guests? Li Bro specifically told us to ensure their safety. Now that Xiaozhang Bro is in trouble in your turf, I'd like to see how Li Bro is going to handle this. Dingwei pulled out his walkie-talkie and pressed a few numbers and a call button. He and Old Sui were of the same rank, both security captains. They didn't have any direct superiors or subordinates, so Old Sui could only use his superiors to pressure him. Whatever. When Old Sui heard that Zhong Dingwei was looking for Yixuan, he was overjoyed. He was afraid that Old Sui would not look for him. Now that Yixuan was here and he knew Lin Yi, things would be easier. Dingwei Zhong thought that Lao Sui was being stubborn. He sneered and said to the walkie-talkie, Brother Li, there are some problems at the entrance of the banquet hall. Someone is beating up our VIP and Captain Sui is covering for him. Okay, I will wait for you. After Zhong Dingwei finished, he looked at Old Sui proudly and thought to himself, let's see how you die. When Li Yixuan heard that someone was beating up a VIP, he didn't dare to delay and immediately rushed over on his electric scooter. However, when he got off the scooter he saw Lin Yi. Li Yixuan hesitated for a moment before deciding to greet Lin Yi first. Lin Yi was someone that President Tian had specially briefed several times. Li Yixuan naturally knew that if he wasn't an important person or had a close relationship with President Tian would not have briefed him so many times. Mr. Lin, you're here too. Li Yixuan walked over quickly and politely extended his hand to Lin Yi. Lin Yi extended his hand and shook Li Yixuan's hand casually. I'm accompanying a buddy to his second grandfather's birthday banquet. Li Yixuan nodded and said politely, Mr. Lin, please go ahead. If you have any instructions, just give me a call. Li Yixuan thought that Lin Yi was just passing by and wanted to enter the banquet hall, so he didn't pay much attention. However, Li Yixuan's words shocked everyone present, including the security captain, Dingwei Zhong. He finally understood why Old Sui lied through his teeth and stood firmly on Lin Yi's side. He knew that Lin Yi was Li Yixuan's real VIP. From Li Yixuan's words, his attitude towards Lin Yi could be seen. Dingwei Zhong looked at Old Sui's bright smile and wanted to punch him. He had been tricked by Old Sui. It wasn't worth it for him to stand out like this. He had pleased Zhu Xiaozhang, but he had offended Li Yixuan. Little Zhong, what's going on? Who beat up a VIP? Li Yixuan asked Dingwei Zhong after he and Lin Yi exchanged greetings. Brotherly, it's like this. This Zhu Xiaozhang guy said that I beat him, but I didn't. Everyone saw it clearly. But this Captain Zhong also said that I beat Zhu Xiaozhang. Lin Yi said plainly. Oh. Li Yixuan was stunned. He didn't expect this to be related to Lin Yi. I can testify that Mr. Lin didn't beat Zhu Xiaozhang. Everyone here saw it. Brotherly, you can ask the crowd. Old Sui said confidently. Lin Yi did slap Zhu Xiaozhang, but there was no one at the banquet hall. Dingwei wasn't there either. As long as Lin Yi didn't admit it, no one would testify for him. But the second slap was not only witnessed by Dingwei Zhong, but also by the crowd. No matter who was asked, they could all testify that Lin Yi didn't beat Zhu Xiaozhang. Little Zhong, what's going on? Brother Li's face darkened. Although he felt that there was a problem, Old Sui's words were most likely credible. Seeing that the crowd didn't refute him, he was even more convinced that Dingwei Zhong was lying. This Maybe I saw it wrong? How could Ding Wei not understand the situation? If he still dared to help Zhu Xiaozhang, he would be offending Li Yixuan. Ding Wei Zhong, I fucking gave you 2,000 yuan and you're saying you saw it wrong? Zhu Xiaozhang exploded. He was hit, but no one believed him. His face was swollen like a bun, but no one believed him. Was there anything more painful than this in the world? Was there? Was there? Oh. The crowd of onlookers burst into laughter. Zhu Xiaozhang didn't shout about the inside story. Although they didn't see how Lin Yi hit Zhu Xiaozhang's face was indeed swollen. Some people still suspected that Lin Yi did something to it. But now that Zhu Xiaozhang was yelling like this, there was no doubt that Zhu Xiaozhang was the one who bribed Zhong Dingwei, and that he was beating himself up. Li Yixuan's gloomy gaze stopped on Dingwei Zhong's face. Go back to the security office and write a self-reflection. If you can't do it, then get out. How could Dingwei dare to say no? He ran away with his tail between his legs, leaving the furious Zhu Xiaozhang behind. Chapter 373. The first round, Kang Mingming knew that he'd be humiliated if he kept this up. There were a lot of onlookers already, and they could prove that Lin Yi didn't hit Zhu Xiaozhang. It was hard to say how Zhu Xiaozhang's face got swollen. Kang Mingming suspected that Lin Yi was behind this, but he couldn't do anything without evidence. If Lin Yi didn't know Li Yixuan, it'd be easier. He could just find an excuse and let the security take him away. But Lin Yi knew Li Yixuan, and from the looks of it, they were close. Lin Yi, right? I'll remember you. Kang Mingming glared at Lin Yi, then at Kang Xiaobo and Lan Fun. You're standing up for them, aren't you? I hope you don't regret this. Some people have done things they shouldn't. I wonder if they regret it now? Lin Yi smiled, not taking Kang Mingming's threat to heart. Let's go. Kang Xiaoming waved his hand and left with Zhu Xiaozhang and Wang Shubin. They walked towards the banquet hall unwillingly. Kang Xiaobo really wanted to wave his hands and shout, "Long live the king," 3 times. He thought that today's meeting with Kang Mingming would be difficult, full of humiliation and helplessness. Kang Xiaobo was prepared to endure everything. After all, this was Kang Mingming's turf, and he wasn't Kang Mingming's opponent. He knew that the weak couldn't win against the strong. But he didn't expect that in the first round of battle with Kang Mingming, his side would gain the upper hand. Kang Mingming had to suffer in silence, and he left with his tail between his legs. Xiaofan, did you see boss's power? With him around, we won't suffer any losses. Kang Xiaobo firmly said as he held onto Xiaofan's hand. Xiaofan had completely given up on Kang Mingming. When she saw Kang Mingming's ugly face, Xiaofan felt a sense of relief. She felt that it wasn't worth it for her to be so haggard all these years. She felt that her actions of jumping off the building were laughable. How could she have fallen in love with such a cruel and unscrupulous person? At this moment, Xiaofan had walked out of the shadow in her heart. She could face her life bravely in the future. Because Kang Mingming wasn't worth her sacrifice. She could only pretend that she was blind. Seeing the smile on Xiaofan's face, Kang Xiaobo let out a breath of relief. Tang Yun was also happy for her. Xiaofan, have you thought it through? Yes, I've thought it through. I was too stupid in the past. Xiaofan shook her head in self-mockery. This kind of person? How can I like this kind of person? I should cherish what I have now. As she spoke, Xiaofan held onto Kang Xiaobo's hand even tighter. Kang Xiaobo was instantly excited. In the past, although he and Xiaofan had feelings for each other, and they both acknowledged their relationship, Kang Xiaobo knew that there was always a shadow in Xiaofan's heart, and that was Kang Mingming. If he didn't get over this, he would always be Kang Mingming's substitute. This made Kang Xiaobo very uncomfortable, and it was also the reason why he insisted on bringing Xiaofan to see Kang Mingming. But at this moment, Kang Xiaobo knew that Xiaofan had already confessed to him and expressed her feelings. How could Kang Xiaobo not be excited? Young Master Lin, if there's nothing else, I'll be leaving first. Call me if there's anything. Li Yixuan saw that there was nothing else for him to do, so he nodded to Lin Yi and said politely. Lin Yi nodded. Sorry to trouble you, brother Li. Li Yixuan gestured that it was nothing and left on the electric scooter. Lin Yi, Tang Yun, Kang Xiaobo, and Xiaofan walked into the banquet hall, and the crowd followed them. Among these people, there were people who knew Kang Xiaobo and Kang Ming and knew that they were cousins. They only treated the conflict between the younger generation of the Kang family as a joke. Dr. Kang's birthday banquet was a Western-style buffet. Kang Xiaobo brought Lin Yi to a corner of the banquet hall. Actually, the purpose of this time was achieved. Xiaofan saw Kang Mingming's true colors, and let her walk out of the shadow in her heart, allowing her to have a new life. After entering the banquet hall, Xiaofan's mood was a little down. She must have been affected by the previous incident. Although she was completely disappointed in Kang Ming, anyone who encountered such an incident would feel bad. Especially after being stupid for so many years, persevering for so many years, and in the end it was all for naught. Anyone would feel uncomfortable. Tang Yun persuaded Xiaofan softly, but this kind of thing didn't need anyone to persuade her. She would be fine after a few days. Boss, since we're here, it's not good for us to leave immediately. But after the younger generation celebrates the birthday, we can leave directly. I don't want to stay here for another minute. Kang Xiaobo was extremely disgusted with Kang Ming's face. Is that person your father? Lin Yi didn't answer Kang Xiaobo's question. Instead, he pointed at a middle-aged man not far away. Beside him was Kang Ming, who was gesticulating and saying something. It's my dad, but what is Kang Ming doing? Kang Xiaobo was stunned. He didn't understand why Kang Ming went to look for his father. Could it be that he went to complain? Kang Ming couldn't be such a coward, right? After being humiliated at the entrance, he went to complain to the adults? I'm guessing that it's about Xiaofan. Lin Yi frowned. I didn't expect Kang Ming to be so mean. He actually went to your dad and said bad things about Xiaofan. Fuck his 18 generations of ancestors. Kang Xiaobo was furious. If what Lin Yi said was true, then wasn't Kang Ming a little too despicable? His 18 generations of ancestors. Isn't it your 18 generations of ancestors? Lin Yi smiled. Actually, it's nothing. You should think about it. You will have to tell your parents about this matter sooner or later. After he said this, you can tell your parents about Xiaofan's experience. I think they aren't unreasonable people. Lin Yi saw that Kang Xiaobo's father was a good person. Although he wanted to save some face, he wasn't a cold-hearted bad person. As long as he was reasonable and moved by his emotions, it wouldn't be difficult for him to accept Xiaofan. Really? Kang Xiaobo heard Lin Yi's words and was overjoyed. Bro, you aren't lying to me, right? Why would I lie to you? Lin Yi shook his head. If it doesn't work, I can help you. Lin Yi's understanding of people's hearts was very accurate. He could help Kang Xiaobo. Chapter 374. Too bad it's fake. As expected, Kang Xiaobo's father frowned as he looked at Kang Xiaobo's side. He couldn't help but frown when he saw the 2 boys and 2 girls. He didn't think too much about it before. It was normal for his son to bring his classmates to the banquet, but 2 boys and 2 girls? That was a little too obvious. Kang Fu also suspected that there were 2 couples after hearing Kang Ming's words. Did his son learn bad things? But Mr. Kang couldn't ask Xiaobo about it in front of everyone, and he knew that his nephew wasn't doing this out of goodwill. He tried so hard to stop Xiaobo and his classmate from staying at the hotel after all, and there had to be some sort of grudge between them. It seemed that the grudge was with the girl beside his son. As for the girl shamelessly seducing this and that, Kang Fu was skeptical. Dr. Kang's birthday banquet officially started at 10 in the morning, and Lin Yi saw a few familiar faces. There was Lu Qianni and Guan Shuamin, both of them sitting at a table and chatting. Dr. Kang's eldest son, the current head of Dr. Kang's group, Kang Guifeng, was also sitting at their table, chatting with the 2 of them. Lin Yi didn't go over to greet them. He hid in the corner, waiting for the banquet to start. Kang Xiaobo gave his gift and left. It seemed that after he created the Miracle Dr. Guan brand, it was inevitable that he would become Dr. Kang's competitor. He didn't have to worry about anything anymore. Judging from Kang Xiaobo's current situation, there was no way he could get back together with Kang Ming's family. At least not with Xiaofan around. Amidst the impassioned speech of the MC and the applause of the guests, Dr. Kang slowly walked out. This was an old man with a rather dignified appearance. He was dressed in a red Han costume and had the temperament of an ancient Chinese medicine practitioner. Although it was a little speechless to become a leading enterprise in the domestic pharmaceutical industry because of a magical prescription, it was undeniable that Dr. Kang's golden creation did have a magical effect. Of course, many old people in the medical field didn't care much about Dr. Kang, because in their opinion, Dr. Kang couldn't be called a miracle doctor at all. They didn't know where he got a good prescription from, which made him the Dr. Kang of today. Looking at the other medicines produced by his company, they were nothing more than common medicines for common colds, headaches, and fever. The formulas were all open to the public and there was nothing special about them. If it weren't for his golden creation medicine's reputation, he might not even be able to sell his home medicine. But he was lucky. With the red medicine, no matter what he produced later on, even if it was a normal medicine, it would still sell well. That was why he was able to create such a colossus like Dr. Kang's medical group in a short period of time. In fact, Many people knew that Dr. Kang's medical skills weren't great. Thank you guests for coming to Dr. Kang's 62nd birthday. Next, we will send our blessings from Dr. Kang's descendants. The MC started the first procedure of the birthday banquet, which was to let the descendants present their gifts. After the descendants had presented their gifts, it would be the turn of the famous people in the society and Dr. Kang's friends. As for the others, they wouldn't have the chance to present their gifts on stage and could only place their gifts at the registration counter at the entrance. The first to go on stage was Dr. Kang's eldest son, Kang Guifeng. He walked up the stage with his head held high, holding a red brocade box in his hand. The packaging was exquisite. "Dad, I'm giving you a 100-year Tianshan snow lotus." His eldest son, Kang Guifeng, presented the brocade box with both hands and said respectfully, "I wish Dad a long and healthy life." "Good, very good. Bring it over and let me have a look." Dr. Kang ordered the MC. The MC quickly presented the brocade box to Dr. Kang. He opened it and there was indeed a 100-year Tianshan snow lotus in it. Looking at its size, even if it wasn't a 100-year Tianshan snow lotus, it was at least 70 or 80 years old. Wow! Everyone was excited. As expected of a family of miracle doctors, even their birthday gifts were rare treasures. After the eldest son, Kang Guifeng, left the stage, it was his youngest son, Kang Tsuepu, who presented his gift. He was holding a similar brocade box in his hand. It was incomparably beautiful. "Dad, I'm giving you a 1,000-year ginseng. It has already begun to take human form. This is a wild ginseng that I've sent people to search the mountains for 3 years and 3 months. Kang Tsuepu presented the brocade box with both hands and said respectfully, "I wish Dad a long and happy life." "Good, good, good." Dr. Kang said good 3 times in a row. He gestured to the MC and said, "Let me have a look. I want to see what a 1,000-year ginseng looks like." His eldest son, Kang Guifeng, presented a 100-year Tianshan snow lotus. It was already rare, but this 1,000-year ginseng was even rarer. How could Dr. Kang not be excited? The MC quickly presented the brocade box to Dr. Kang. Dr. Kang opened the brocade box, and there was indeed a huge ginseng inside. It had already grown into human form. Although he didn't know if it was a 1,000-year ginseng, it was indeed a rare treasure. All the guests gasped as they looked at the ginseng in Miracle Dr. Kang's hands enviously, congratulating him non-stop. "Your uncle really knows how to curry favor. He gave me a ginseng but it's fake. It seems like he's the same as that Kang Ming, a master of swindling people." Lin Yi's voice wasn't loud. He was only talking to Kang Xiaobo, Tang Yun and Xiaofan. However, the guests nearby heard it. "Fake? Is it real?" The guests nearby heard Lin Yi's words and were in an uproar. They couldn't help but look at Lin Yi. If these people didn't pay attention, things would have been fine. But the noise was heard by Kang Tsuepu, and he looked at Lin Yi's direction with a cold, unfriendly gaze. However, Kang Tsuepu didn't say anything. He signaled his son, Kang Ming. Kang Ming immediately jumped out and pointed at Lin Yi. "Where did this guy come from? What fake? How can this ginseng be fake?" Seeing Kang Ming jump out in such a hurry, Lin Yi smiled faintly. Since it's artificially cultivated, it's naturally fake. Not to mention a 1,000-year ginseng, it's not even 10 years old. Lin Yi didn't want to interfere with Kang Xiaobo's family matters. However, this Kang Ming was too despicable. Lin Yi didn't mind mocking him a bit. He wanted to embarrass him and his father. "Guards, throw him out for me. How dare he cause trouble at Grandpa's birthday banquet?" Kang Ming roared angrily. The security guards in the banquet hall knew about the relationship between Lin Yi and Li Yixuan. Although they heard Kang Ming's order, they didn't dare to make a move. Chapter 375. How embarrassing. Although he didn't know much about ginseng, he didn't really trust his youngest son. His youngest son never did proper work, never went to the company and used the dividends from the shares to eat, drink and gamble. His grandson was just like him. What kind of 1,000-year-old ginseng could he dig up? Even Dr. Kang himself didn't believe it. But whether it was real or fake, this was his son's sincerity. Even if it was fake, he couldn't show it in front of outsiders. If there was anything, it should be discussed behind closed doors. Now that an outsider like Lin Yi had said it out loud, Dr. Kang felt like he had lost a lot of face. "Kid, why do you say this ginseng is fake?" Although Dr. Kang's voice was a little angry, he still maintained a calm demeanor. "If you're just spouting nonsense, then apologize and I'll pretend I didn't hear it. But if you don't, then I'm sorry, we don't welcome you here." Dr. Kang's words were reasonable and no one could find fault with them. Instead, they felt that he was very magnanimous. Lin Yi had embarrassed them like this, and Dr. Kong only wanted Lin Yi to apologize. Lin Yi didn't expect these people to have such a big reaction. Even the old Dr. Kong had jumped out. It seemed that if he didn't say a few words he would implicate Kong Xiaobo. Lin Yi could only stand up and explain helplessly. Wild ginseng has a long reed head and dense reed bowls. The ginseng body is the same length as the root. It has a human shape and a horizontal body. The horizontal lines on the main root are fine and clear. The color is darker and the skin is thin and tough. There are many obvious pearl bumps. The cultivated ginseng is called garden ginseng. It has a short reed head and few reed bowls. The ginseng body is cylindrical, and the horizontal lines on the main root are sparse and discontinuous. The skin is thick and brittle and the pearl bumps are not obvious. As for the authenticity of this ginseng, I think there should be experts in this field. Dr. Kong doesn't know, but there should be someone who knows, right? Lin Yi's words were very hurtful. It was obvious that he was mocking Dr. Kong for not knowing how to differentiate between real and fake ginseng. How could he be called a divine doctor? Dr. Kang's face changed. He didn't expect Lin Yi's words to be so logical. He thought that Lin Yi was just talking nonsense. He stood up and said something to give him a way out. But now Dr. Kong was in a dilemma. Nonsense. Kong Ming jumped out again. Grandpa, don't listen to this guy's nonsense. He was sent here by Kong Xiaobo to cause trouble. Let's put the ginseng away and ignore him. Kong Ming's words obviously made people think that he had a guilty conscience. If the ginseng wasn't fake, he should take it out and let the experts here identify it. Why did he ask them to put it away? Kong Ming did have a guilty conscience. This ginseng was bought with his father, Kong Tsuepu. How could he not know whether it was real or fake? This ginseng was bought from an artificial farm. It only cost a few thousand yuan. How could it be a 1,000-year-old ginseng? But Kong Tsuepu and Kong Ming both knew that their father didn't know whether the ginseng was real or fake. Kong Tsuepu's brother, Kong Guifeng, also didn't know. Even if Kong Guifeng guessed that it was fake, he wouldn't lose face in front of others. Besides, Kong Tsuepu only took the dividends in the company and didn't fight for power. This made Kong Guifeng have no resentment towards Kong Tsuepu. The two brothers got along well. Kong Guifeng often cleaned up after Kong Tsuepu's bad things. However, they didn't expect that Lin Yi would appear out of nowhere. Forget it. Take it away. Whether it's real or fake, it's a gift from Tsuepu. Dr. Kong was not stupid. Since Lin Yi said so, he must be confident. If he took it seriously, he would only humiliate himself. It was better to admit it generously. Anyway, others knew what kind of person his youngest son was. His reputation was already bad. It didn't matter if it was a little bit more. Dr. Kong admitted it so casually. It didn't cause any uproar. Since Dr. Kong said so, people didn't want to distinguish whether it was real or fake. Next was Kong Xiaobo's father. It was a very ordinary gift. It was just a few years old Ganoderma. Kong Tsuepu and Kong Ming had wanted to find fault with it, but it was just a few years old Ganoderma. You couldn't find any fault with a few years old Ganoderma. It wasn't a rare item in the first place. If they wanted to find fault with it, it would be like picking bones in an egg. Kong Tsuepu and Kong Ming didn't have a choice. They could only vent their anger on Kong Xiaobo later. The sons and grandsons had all given their gifts. Now it was the grandson's turn. But according to Dr. Kang's patriarchal mindset, only men were allowed to give gifts. Granddaughters couldn't go up. The first to go up was Kong Guifeng's son, Kong Xiaolong. This Kong Xiaolong looked older, around 20 years old. He wore glasses and looked like a gentleman. He held a document in his hand as he walked up steadily. Grandpa, this is a research topic I researched during my PhD studies. I've already obtained a patent for it. This is a certificate from the school. Kong Xiaolong handed the certificate over respectfully. The MC was about to take it when Dr. Kong waved his hand and walked up himself. His face was flushed, the unhappiness from before gone. Good Xiaolong, good job. I'm very happy. With that, Miracle Dr. Kong took the certificate and looked at it with a smile. He patted Xiaolong's shoulder. Work hard. You're the next generation Miracle Doctor of House Kong. Xiaolong nodded. Wah wah. The audience applauded. Everyone knew that Miracle Dr. Kong was choosing his successor. Is your eldest cousin a medical student? Lin Yi was a little surprised. He didn't expect Dr. Kang's family to have someone who studied medicine. Yes, he graduated from a proper medical school and is currently studying for a PhD in traditional Chinese medicine. Kong Xiaobo introduced. Actually, he's the only one who really knows medicine. It was a little ironic and funny, but it was the truth. Lin Yi was speechless as well. Why did Miracle Dr. Kang's family seem to be so unorthodox? After that it was Kang Xiaoming's turn. His gift was even more mysterious. He said it was some kind of ancient prescription. But with his father Kang Tsuepu's example, no one was curious anymore. It was obvious that it was fake. How could ancient prescriptions be so easily obtained? Chapter 376. I step. Even if Dr. Kang didn't know much about medicine, he'd read a lot of books in order not to be a laughingstock. How could such an ordinary prescription for typhoid be called an ancient prescription? What a wastrel. Dr. Kang sighed inwardly. Fortunately, Dr. Kang had his eldest son Kang Guifeng and grandson Xiaolong. At least the Kangs had a continuation, and they wouldn't fall after his death. At least until Xiaolong's generation. As for his great-grandchildren, they'd have their own destinies. Miracle Dr. Kang couldn't care less about what would happen after his death. Dr. Kang placed Kang Mingming's prescription under Xiaolong's certificate and nodded nonchalantly. All right. Whether or not this prescription works, it's still a token of Xiaoming's sincerity. After Kang Mingming left, it was Kang Xiaobo's turn to present his gift. When the MC called out Kang Xiaobo's name, Kang Xiaobo tensed up. Boss, can I do it? Sure, why not? Just go. Lin Yi patted Kang Xiaobo's shoulder encouragingly. Kang Xiaobo nodded and walked up the stage with the antique box Lin Yi had given him. Second Grandpa, this is a rare pill called the Pill of Life Extension and Toxin Cleansing. After taking it, a large amount of impurities will be expelled from the body, cleansing the bones and marrow. After the toxins are expelled, the body's physiological functions will return to peak condition, and it'll add at least 5 to 10 years to your lifespan. Kang Xiaobo presented the box with both hands. Happy birthday, Second Grandpa. Oh. Dr. Kang frowned, displeased. As Dr. Kang, he was at the pinnacle of the medical world, and he'd never heard of something like the Pill of Life Extension and Toxin Cleansing. After eating it, it could even cleanse the marrow and reshape the bones. Could it really achieve the goal of prolonging one's life? Dr. Kang felt that if he accepted this elixir, he would lose face. As a Dr. Kang, did he still need this kind of elixir? Moreover, it sounded like an unreliable elixir. However, before Dr. Kang could speak, Kang Mingming jumped out and grabbed the small box in Kang Xiaobo's hand. Just as he was worrying about not being able to find a reason or excuse to attack Kang Xiaobo, this Kang Xiaobo actually took the initiative to come to him. Kang Xiaobo, don't try to mystify us. The Pill of Life Extension and Toxin Cleansing? How could this be? Do you think you're a martial arts practitioner who sells strength pills? Kang Xiaoming glared at him. What kind of person is my grandpa? It's Dr. Kang. What medicine doesn't our family have? But I've never heard of such a thing in this world. There are many things you haven't heard of. Kang Xiaobo said coldly. What kind of trash is this? Then I'll open it for everyone to see. When Kang Mingming heard that Kang Xiaobo still dared to argue, he was furious. You won't shed a tear until you see your coffin, huh? As he said that, Kang Mingming opened the small box in Kang Xiaobo's hands and took out a black elixir. He laughed loudly. What Pill of Life Extension and Toxin Cleansing is this? It can even cleanse the marrow and reshape the bones? Have you read too many Wuxia novels? Have you gone mad? Second Grandpa, I've already given you my birthday gift. Since Second Cousin doesn't believe me, I can't do anything about it. Kang Xiaobo resisted the urge to turn hostile and spoke in a tone that was neither servile nor overbearing. What? Feeling guilty? When Kang Mingming saw Kang Xiaobo's expression, he thought that he was feeling guilty. Kang Xiaobo, don't think that I don't know why you're here. Aren't you here to stand up for that bitch? She's trash that I've played with and you're treating her like a treasure. You gave my grandfather a miraculous elixir that we've never heard of before. Aren't you trying to make a fool of our family? I know what you're thinking. You want people to see that our medical family hasn't seen this elixir before. That's what you're thinking, right? But you've miscalculated. My grandfather doesn't care for this trash of yours. As he said that, Kang Mingming threw the Pill of Life Extension and Toxin Cleansing on the ground and stomped on it. That wasn't enough. He even used the soles of his feet to grind it until it was a pile of sticky powder. All right, you've given your birthday gift. You may leave. Throughout the entire process, Dr. Kang didn't say a word. He just stood there with a dark expression. He had his suspicions. Forget Kang Xiaobo, even his eldest son couldn't get such an elixir. So where did Kang Xiaobo get it from? It had to be fake. He could tolerate Kang Mingming because Kang Mingming was his own grandson. But he couldn't tolerate Kang Xiaobo. He felt that Kang Xiaobo was here to stir up trouble. Especially after hearing his grandson Kang Mingming's words. So this cousin of his, Kang Xiaobo, was here to fight for a woman's affections. Nonsense. Dr. Kong snorted coldly. He looked at Kong Xiaobo's father. You've taught your son well. Why aren't you taking him away? Why are you leaving him here to embarrass yourself? Miracle Dr. Kong, on the other hand, didn't care about Kong Xiaoming's arrogant act of stepping on the pill. He didn't blame him either. Clearly he was protecting him. Xiaobo's father was quite furious. It wasn't very appropriate for his son to get some elixir as a gift, but Kong Xiaoming was the one who'd been causing trouble from the beginning. How was he supposed to embarrass his son? Xiaobo, were you bewitched by someone? Who gave you the divine expansion elixir? Apologize to your second grandpa now. Kung Fu reprimanded Kong Xiaobo. In order to give him a way out, he pushed the responsibility of the elixir to someone else. He meant that Kong Xiaobo was bewitched by someone else and it had nothing to do with him. Impossible. How could the elixir given by Big Brother be fake? Someone was blind and didn't know what was good. Kong Xiaobo was also furious. He said stubbornly, it's a pity that such a good thing was wasted. Kong Xiaobo trusted Lin Yi unconditionally. If Lin Yi said that it was an elixir, then he would naturally believe it was an elixir. Kong Xiaobo couldn't hold it in anymore. Now that even his father was blaming him, he finally exploded. Xiaobo, the gift is here. Some people call themselves divine doctors, but they're just quacks with bad eyesight. Lin Yi walked over with Tang Yun and Xiaofan and said to Kong Xiaobo, this is our Kong family's matter. Who are you to say anything? Dr. Kong was already furious when Lin Yi exposed the ginseng. He didn't hold back when he saw Lin Yi getting involved in his family's matter. Chapter 377. Being a supporting character, Mr. Lin. Lu Tianyi couldn't believe his eyes. Lin Yi was at the banquet, and it seemed like he was on Kong Xiaobo's side. Lu Tianyi made his decision without hesitation. He would stand on Lin Yi's side. He had to explain to Lin Yi that he was only attending Dr. Kang's birthday banquet as a show of respect. Mr. Lin, why are you here? I'm so sorry I didn't see you earlier. Tianyi took a few steps to Lin Yi's side and spoke respectfully under everyone's shocked gazes. Lu Tianyi didn't even need to think about the choice between Lin Yi and Dr. Kong to maximize the benefits of the Lu family. Especially after hearing that Lin Yi had the intention of launching the Miracle Dr. Guan brand with him, Lu Tianyi was even more dismissive of Dr. Kong. What kind of miracle doctor are you? All you have is a golden creation. Lin Yi is the miracle doctor. Ah, I'm here with my classmate. Lin Yi shrugged and smiled. Looks like some people aren't interested in my pills. I should have given them to you if I knew this would happen. Is that so? That's great. Anything else? Lu Tianyi was flattered by Lin Yi's words. He never doubted Lin Yi's pills. He'd even believed Lin Yi when he said he could bring the dead back to life. He'd seen his father's condition firsthand. He'd gone from an old man to a man in his prime. He'd even started a vegetable garden recently. Lu Tianyi was happy to see this change. Of course, the person he was most grateful for was Lin Yi. The 100 million was worth it. Looks like I have to continue befriending Lin Yi in the future. I don't have any at the moment. This was given to me by an expert. Lin Yi shook his head. If I have any, I'll give you one. Alright, thank you Mr. Lin, thank you Mr. Lin. Don't worry, I'm not the kind of person who takes things for free. As long as you have this kind of elixir, let alone 100 million, I'll even give you 200 million. Lu Tianyi said repeatedly. Although his father's body was fine, it was good to have an elixir at home. He wasn't young anymore. Maybe he could use it one day. Everyone present, including Dr. Kong, was dumbfounded by Lu Tianyi's words. The pill that was crushed by Kong Mingming was worth 200 million yuan? Is it made of diamond? If these people didn't know Lu Tianyi and knew his identity, they might have thought that it was Kong Xiaobo who hired someone to help him fake the elixir. But who was Lu Tianyi? Did he need to help others fake the elixir? Besides, not to mention Kong Xiaobo, even Dr. Kong couldn't get Lu Tianyi to fake the elixir. Xiao Yi, why didn't you give me one of those elixirs? It's such a shame that it's ruined for no reason. Just when everyone was shocked, something even more shocking happened. Guan Xuemin stood up and walked over with a smile. He patted Lin Yi's shoulder. Dr. Kang's expression changed again. Could it be that the elixir was real? Otherwise, why would Guan Xuemin say that? Although Dr. Kong felt that Guan Xuemin didn't make as much money as him, Guan Xuemin's medical skills were better than his. Grandpa Guan, Mr. Lu, we're leaving. What about you guys? Lin Yi asked with a smile. I still have something to talk to you about. Of course, I'm going back with you. Guan Xuemin knew what Lin Yi meant. He smiled. After the medical company was built, he would have to fight with Dr. Kong for the market. He didn't care about his reputation. There's no point in staying here. Why don't we accompany Mr. Lin? Lu Qianni expressed his loyalty. He knew how important a miracle doctor was to a family, and it was a miracle doctor who could bring the dying back to life. So Lu Qianni had already put down his pride. What was the use of having more money and power in his hands? Wouldn't he lose everything if he died? But with a friend like Lin Yi, it was equivalent to having an exemption from death. Lu Qianni wasn't stupid. Kang Xiaobo's father wanted to stand up and scold his son. What kind of friend did he find to mess around at the banquet? But at this moment, there was only excitement left in his heart. His son's classmate was so capable. House Lu's Lu Qianni and Guan Xuemin were very friendly to him. This made Dr. Kang's reputation fall to the bottom. Lin Yi turned around and looked at Kang Xiaobo indifferently. If you're a man, hold Xiaofan's hand and prove it to them. This was a good opportunity for Kang Xiaobo. If he forced him to acknowledge Xiaofan as his girlfriend, then even if Kang Xiaobo's parents were unwilling, they couldn't do anything about it. Lin Yi had already set a good start for him. Now that everyone was on his side, if Kang Xiaobo held Xiaofan's hand and announced something to Kang Mingming, he wouldn't receive disdain from the crowd, but shock. Kang Xiaobo nodded and held Xiaofan's hand. He puffed out his chest and looked at Kang Mingming. Second cousin, I'll return the damage you've done to Xiaofan one day. Who the hell are you? Don't think that just because your friend knows a few people you're someone too. Kang Mingming might be arrogant and despotic, but he wasn't an idiot. When he saw how Lu Qianni and Guan Xuemin were chasing after the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing, he knew that he was in trouble. That pill might really be the real deal. He didn't know where the brat beside Kang Xiaobo got it from, but no matter what, he still crushed it. Therefore, Kang Mingming was obviously trying to be tough on the outside, afraid that others would blame him, so he shifted his target to Kang Xiaobo. Kang Xiaobo ignored him and turned to look at his second grandfather, saying with disappointment, Dr. Kang, huh? I'm not worthy of you. Someone else gave you a fake ginseng and a fake prescription, and you happily accepted it. I sincerely gave you a pill of life extension and toxin cleansing, but you treated it like trash. Haha, it's fine if I don't enter this house. After saying that, Kang Xiaobo held Xiaofan's hand and walked out of the banquet hall. Lin Yi had already laid the groundwork for him. If Kang Xiaobo didn't have the courage to stand up and say these words, then he'd really be a coward. Lin Yi held Tang Yin's hand and followed behind Kang Xiaobo. Today he appeared as a side character and the main character was still Kang Xiaobo. Seeing Kang Xiaobo and Lin Yi's silhouettes getting smaller and smaller, Dr. Kang knew that today's banquet was destined to become a farce. Where's the pill? Dr. Kang wasn't in a good mood, so he could only vent his anger on Kang Mingming. The pill. Kang Mingming's heart skipped a beat as he looked at the spot where he'd stepped on the pill. Chapter 378. Meeting a fatty. However, just as Lin Yi was about to walk out of the banquet hall, something unexpected happened again. Lin Yi had just reached the entrance of the banquet hall when Yixuan followed a middle-aged man into the hall in a hurry. The middle-aged man was the owner of Moon on the Sea, President Tian. He and Yixuan were supposed to celebrate Dr. Kang's birthday, and since they were holding a birthday banquet in his territory, he had to be there as the owner to give his blessings. But to his surprise, people were already leaving the banquet hall. Hadn't the banquet just started? The dishes hadn't even been served yet, so why were people leaving already? Just when Mr. Tian was confused, Li Yixuan reminded him in a small voice, Mr. Tian, this is Mr. Lin Yi. President Tian froze and looked at Lin Yi carefully. Sure enough, he was the same as the photo in the file. He hadn't noticed before, but after Yixuan's reminder, he immediately greeted him with a kind smile. Young Master Lin, you're leaving? Hee, Uncle Tian, right? Lin Yi saw him walk over with Yixuan and guessed who he was. I'm just accompanying a classmate to his second grandpa's birthday banquet. I've already given him the gift, but he didn't like it, so there's no need for us to stay and embarrass ourselves. President Tian frowned. Young Master Lin's gift didn't catch his eye? Wasn't that suicidal? However, he didn't know if Lin Yi was on a mission or not, so he didn't dare say anything. He could only nod. Do you need me to send someone to escort you? No need, we'll leave on our own. Lin Yi waved his hand and smiled. Alright, call me if there's anything. You can also look for Xiao Li. President Tian nodded. The scene at the entrance was witnessed by all the guests, causing them to be even more shocked. President Tian of Moon on the Sea was a celebrity in the upper class of Donghai City, and yet he was so polite to Lin Yi. Who exactly was this Lin Yi? Was he a young master from a rich family? From the looks of it, it should be. Dr. Kang had the worst expression on his face. He had never expected that Kang Xiaobo's classmate would be someone with a high status. If he had known that Lin Yi was a rich second generation, he wouldn't have let Kang Ming crush the pill. The pill seemed to be real. Phew! After walking out of the banquet hall, Kang Xiaobo let out a long sigh and clenched his fists in excitement. Boss, this is the first time I felt so proud. Look at my second grandpa and Kang Ming's faces, they're all twisted. Right now they were probably regretting to death that the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing had been crushed by Kang Ming. That idiot is going to be in trouble when he gets home. Hee hee. Lin Yi patted Kang Xiaobo's shoulder. At the very least, Kang Xiaobo had taken the first step today, making him a man of indomitable spirit. Yeah, it's such a pity. If I'd known that Mr. Lin was the one who provided the pill, I'd gone up to the stage and snatched it even if I'd been laughed at. Tianyi said regretfully. What a waste of a treasure. Xiaofan was worried that she would be humiliated by Kang Ming's family. But now she understood that she could also stand on a high ground and look down on the Kang family. Just now, when Kang Xiaobo said those words in a cold voice, when he said that he wanted Kang Ming to return the harm he had done to her, Xiaofan was so emotional. As for Kang Ming, his eyes were flickering and he didn't even dare to speak. Thank you, Xiaobo. Xiaofan turned to look at Lin Yi. Thank you. Xiaobo's boss. Hee hee, what's the point of saying all these? Lin Yi waved his hand. We're on the same side. Xiaobo, I'm going to give you a stage to show off. I'm going to let you stand at the same height as Dr. Kang, or even surpass him. Really? Kang Xiaobo was stunned and his eyes shone with hope. He never doubted Lin Yi's words. This was just to express the surprise in his heart. Boss, thank you. Don't worry, I won't let you down. Just when Kang Xiaobo was extremely excited, a fatty ran out of the banquet hall, panting as he ran. As he ran, he said, little bro, wait for me. Lin Yi looked at the panting fatty and was confused. Who are you calling? I'm calling you, little bro. The fatty ran to Lin Yi and kneeled in front of Lin Yi. Little bro, please sell me one of that pill of life extension and toxin cleansing. I'm willing to pay any price. 100 million? No, 500 million is fine too. Lin Yi was speechless as he looked at the fatty. Was there something wrong with this guy? Running out to buy a pill from him? Did he really believe it? Little bro, I'm begging you. Seeing that Lin Yi wasn't answering, the fatty suddenly hugged Lin Yi's leg and started sobbing. Sell me one, I'm willing to pay any price. As long as you're willing to sell it to me, you'll be Fatty Lie's savior, I'm begging you. I'm gonna faint. Don't cry first. Lin Yi was a little dumbfounded. He'd wanted to move the fatty away and ignore him, but he didn't expect the guy to start crying like that, not to mention in such a heartbreaking manner. A grown man crying in front of him. Lin Yi really didn't know what to say. Little bro, if you promise me I'll stop crying? Fatty Lie woke up, snot dripping onto Lin Yi's pants. Lin Yi felt a chill run down his spine. Then cry yourself to death. Lin Yi was speechless. Then if I stop crying you'll sell it to me? Fatty Lie asked, quickly stopping his crying. Old Lie, what are you doing? If you have something to say, just say it. Look at you making a fool out of yourself. Lu Tianyi spoke up. Evidently he knew the fatty. Old Lu, don't you feel pain in your back? You're so happy that your dad's cured, but my old man's still lying on the sickbed, sob. Fatty Lie started sobbing again. I told you to tell me the miracle doctor who treated your dad, but you kept it a secret. If I don't fight for it now, I'll lose my chance again. You old fox. Lin Yi understood now. This guy had a sick dad too. He knew Lu Tianyi and he knew that Lu Tianyi's dad was cured, so he paid attention to it. He might have asked Lu Tianyi before, but Lu Tianyi didn't dare tell anyone about him without his permission, so Fatty Lie still held a grudge against Lu Tianyi. Chapter 379. Grab rubbish, bro, I'm not crying anymore. Can you sell me one? Fatty Lie ignored Lu Tianyi and looked at Lin Yi while wiping his tears. Not for sale. Lin Yi shook his head. What? Sob. Bro, I have money. I have money. Whatever that old fox Lu Tianyi can spend, I can too. I can spend even more than him. Fatty Lie cried again. Lin Yi was a little depressed. Why did this fatty love to cry so much? A crybaby? He helplessly explained, I only have this one. I don't have any more now. If that's the case, then when will you have it? Fatty Lie's face turned dejected. Just one? No more? I'm not sure. Lin Yi didn't know Fatty Lie at all, so he wouldn't just give him a random pill. The few elixirs in his hands were meant to be given out when the company opened for business as a gift to boost the company's reputation. Of course, Lin Yi wouldn't waste them. Fatty Lie was a crybaby and he seemed like a filial son, but there were too many filial crybabies out there. Every single one of them would run up to him with tears and snot all over their faces asking for pills. Even if he didn't tire himself to death refining pills, he'd still be annoyed to death by them. Therefore this precedent could not be broken. He would never give it to someone he wasn't familiar with. I see, sob sob sob. Fatty Lai started bawling again when he heard Lin Yi's words. Dr. Kong, that unfilial bastard. That bastard. What a waste of a heavenly gift. Motherfucker. Lin Yi sympathized with Fatty Lai's situation, but he couldn't just give him a pill out of sympathy, could he? Lin Yi wasn't a charity organization after all. At that moment, a cleaner walked over with a trash bag, ready to throw it into the trash can of the resort. Fatty Lai's eyes were sharp and he recognized the cleaner right away. It was the one who cleaned the pill that Kang Xiaoming had crushed in the banquet hall. He jumped up from the ground and ran to the cleaner's side. Don't throw it away, just give me the trash bag. The cleaner was startled and was at a loss of what to do. She looked at the fatty, whose face was still full of tears in horror. What do you want? Fatty Lai didn't want to drag this on any longer, so he didn't bother explaining and grabbed the trash bag from the cleaner's hands. He'd have screamed robbery if it weren't for the trash in the bag. But because the garbage bag was filled with useless trash, the cleaner didn't even fight with Fatty Lai when he saw him snatching it like a madman. He let go and ran away in fright. Who would fight with a madman like him over a trash bag? The cleaner thought that this fatty dressed like a dog, but he was actually a madman. It seemed like he had to stay away from him. Fatty Lai ignored the cleaner. He didn't care what the cleaner thought. Finding the pill that Kang Xiaoming crushed was the most important thing. Lin Yi, Kang Xiaobo, Tang Yun, Fin, and even Lu Qianni looked at the crazy Fatty Lai in shock. They didn't know what he was trying to do. Old Lai, what are you doing? What's wrong with you? Lu Qianni had a small conflict with Fatty Lai, but their relationship wasn't bad. He quickly reminded Fatty Lai when he saw him acting so shamelessly. If his business rivals saw this and filmed it, wouldn't they laugh at him? But Fatty Lai didn't seem to hear Lu Qianni's words at all. He opened the trash bag in his hand and took out the things inside and threw them into the trash can. There were lunch boxes, instant noodle buckets, toilet paper with snot on it, chewed bubble gum, disposable chopsticks, and everything. There were even flies and mosquitoes flying out. Lu Qianni felt disgusted. Was this Fatty Lai crazy? What was he doing? Shut up. I want to find the pill that was crushed by that wastrel. Fatty Lai roared as he searched the trash bag for something. Forget it, let him look for it. It would be his fortune if he could find it. Lin Yi shook his head. Although it was crushed by Kang Mingming, the effect was the same. Lu Qianni was shocked. He didn't expect Fatty Lai to come up with this idea. He wanted to find the pill that Kang Mingming crushed. Found it. Found it. Fatty Lai pulled out a black ball from the trash bag and held it in his hands excitedly as if he'd found a treasure. Great, I finally found it. Ah. Haha, congratulations, brother Lai. Lu Qianni walked over and patted Fatty Lai's shoulder. Get lost. Fatty Lai glared at Lu Qianni. Don't you dare take my pill of life extension and toxin cleansing. I'm not giving it to you. I'm not taking it. Lu Qianni knew that he didn't tell Fatty Lai about Lin Yi. Fatty Lai was a little unhappy, but he couldn't blame Lu Qianni. Without Lin Yi's permission, he wouldn't dare say anything about Lin Yi. Why's this pill so big? I didn't see it this big before. Fatty Lai suddenly ran over with the black ball in his hands. Bro, can you help me take a look? Is this it? Why is there a stench? Is this pill smelly? Is good medicine bitter? Lin Yi glanced at the black ball in Fatty Lai's hands and dodged to the back. Tang Yun wanted to go over to take a look, but Lin Yi pulled her back. What's wrong? Tang Yun was curious why Lin Yi didn't let her go over. It's this pill, but it's stuck together with a ball of dog poop. Lin Yi said to Fatty Lai. Dig out the light-colored thing on the left. That's dog poop, that's why it smells. Ah? Fatty Lai's eyes widened, sweating profusely. Dog poop. However, Fatty Lai gritted his teeth. Even if there was dog poop on it, he had to dig it out. Lu Qianni couldn't help but break out in a cold sweat. Dog poop on it? This Fatty Lai sure was unlucky. But Fatty Lai didn't think so. In fact, he felt lucky. So what if it was dog poop? It was already good enough that he could find it. It didn't matter if it was dog poop on it. Fatty Lai carefully dug out the side without dog poop. He didn't dig it out completely and there was still some dog poop stuck on it. But Fatty Lai didn't dare dig anymore. He couldn't let his dad eat dog poop, could he? Chapter 380. Go get it. Lin Yi thought to himself that Fatty Lai was a rich man. These cigars were obviously expensive, but he threw them away just like that. The cost of one pill wasn't even as much as one of his cigars. Fatty Lai, on the other hand, didn't think so. He treated it like a treasure, and in his eyes he wouldn't sell it even if he offered it to Lin Yi for 500 million, let alone 100 million. It was a priceless treasure. As the saying goes, 1,000 gold can't buy 10 years of youth. If his father could live for another 10 years after eating this pill, it would be a priceless treasure. However, this pill seemed to be a lot less than before. Would it still be effective? At the thought, Fatty Lai quickly asked, "Bro, this pill is much smaller than before, will it still work?" The pill of life extension and toxin cleansing had been stomped on by Kong Ming Ming, and quite a bit of it was stuck to the floor. Only a small amount was left after sweeping it up, and the rest was wiped away by the cleaner with a mop. A little. It's hard to say for 5 or 10 years, but it's still possible for him to live for another 1 or 2 years. Lin Yi said, "It depends on your father's condition and how much poison is in his body. My dad has uremia. Can he detoxify it?" Fatty Lai was afraid that Lin Yi would ignore him. Now that he saw Lin Yi asking him a question, he quickly went along with it. If he could get Lin Yi's guidance, he'd be so happy he'd go crazy. "Yes, it's a little effective. It won't be a problem to hold out for another year or so," Lin Yi said. "Can it be cured?" Fatty Lai asked quickly. "Maybe after eating 10 or 20, right? I can't say for sure." Lin Yi did not lie to him. How could uremia be so easily treated? Only the combination of acupuncture and traditional Chinese medicine could cure it. "Bro, can you cure my father? I'll follow you for the rest of my life, I'll do anything for you, no matter how much money you spend, I'm willing." Fatty Lai knelt in front of Lin Yi again. This time, not only was his snot all over Lin Yi's pants, but the hand that had grabbed dog poop earlier was also grabbing onto Lin Yi's pants tightly. Let go of me first." Lin Yi thought to himself, "I'll throw these pants away when I get home. I can't keep them anymore." "Then you'll treat me?" Fatty Lai was overjoyed after hearing Lin Yi's words. "Get up right now and get the fuck back home. Give that to your old man to eat first, he won't die so soon." Lin Yi said helplessly. "Let me think about it first, then we'll talk about it. Speaking of which, you seem to have some face? A celebrity?" "Alright, I'll go back immediately." Fatty Lai nodded quickly. "I have a bit of a reputation in the business world." "Bro, what's up?" "Nothing much. I'll start a company in a few days and you can come and support me when it opens. I'll give you a pill of life extension and toxin cleansing too." Lin Yi nodded. "Are you free? If not, then forget it." "Yes. Yes. Yes." Fatty Lai said the word yes 3 times in a row, afraid that Lin Yi wouldn't hear him clearly and cross him off the invitation list. He was so excited he almost fainted. "I'll be your follower. Don't worry, I might be fat but I have strength. I'm good at running errands." "Then go. Get my number from Mr. Liu." Lin Yi was at his wits' end from Fatty Lai's pestering. He had no choice but to give him a pill of life extension and toxin cleansing. Giving it to someone else to experiment with was no different than giving it to the fatty. Alright. Fatty Lai nodded, satisfied, and respectfully sent Lin Yi off to a shabby van. Fatty Lai thought to himself, so Lin Yi likes this kind of car? I'll get a new one tomorrow just like him. That's the only way to show that I'm a good follower. Dr. Kang's birthday banquet was still going on, and the guests were all smiles, but Dr. Kang couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong with the atmosphere. He looked at Kong Ming Ming standing at the side, and it reminded him of what happened earlier. After the guests finished giving their gifts, Dr. Kang waved at Kong Ming Ming. Kong Ming Ming quickly ran over. He knew that he'd gotten into trouble and the situation was clear. Lin Yi was a young master, and he didn't know how Kong Xiaobo knew this person, but Lin Yi's identity was definitely not simple. From the attitude of Director Tian Lu Tianyi and Guan Shuamin towards Lin Yi was definitely not simple. And that so-called pill of life extension and toxin cleansing might be real as well. Perhaps it was some kind of rare treasure from somewhere, but Kong Ming Ming treated it like trash and stomped on it. "Grandpa." Kong Ming Ming walked over carefully, his hatred for Kong Xiaobo deepening by another level. "Why didn't you say so earlier that you got to know such a powerful boss? You've made a fool out of me. Go look for the cleaner just now and find that so-called pill of life extension and toxin cleansing he swept away." How could Dr. Kong not understand something that even Kong Xiaobo understood? He also felt that if the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing was real, it would be a waste to throw it away. However, he couldn't let outsiders see it and lose face, so he reminded, "Be careful, don't let others see it." "Got it, Grandpa." Kong Ming Ming saw that there was still a chance to salvage the situation, so he quickly nodded and followed his grandfather's instructions. Kong Ming Ming quickly walked out of the banquet hall when no one was paying attention. In reality he was like an insignificant clown, so no one paid any attention to him. As soon as Kang Ming Ming walked out of the banquet hall, he bumped into the cleaner who had just been cleaning. He quickly ran over. "Andy, can I ask you something? Where did you throw the rubbish you just swept away?" Kang Ming Ming had a favor to ask of the cleaner, so he had to change his attitude. Otherwise, he wouldn't have done this under normal circumstances. "The rubbish bin outside." "But..." Before the cleaner could finish her sentence, Kang Ming Ming turned and ran. The cleaner shook her head. She wanted to remind him that there was still a fat man snatching the rubbish from the rubbish bin, but Kang Ming Ming was too anxious and didn't hear the latter part of her sentence. Kang Ming Ming was afraid that the rubbish in the rubbish bin had been taken away, so after hearing the cleaner's words he quickly ran out. When he reached the entrance of the banquet hall, he saw an open rubbish bag beside the rubbish bin. Kang Ming Ming was shocked. It couldn't have been stolen, right? But then he remembered that near hotels and resorts, there were always people who liked to scavenge through rubbish bins to pick out drinks and bottles that could be sold for money. No one should know what that lousy pill was, right? However, Kang Ming Ming didn't dare to delay. He quickly ran over and picked up the rubbish bag, then rummaged through it. Chapter 381. Finally found Eat. A wave of stench assaulted Kang Ming Ming's face. Kang Ming Ming nearly puked. What the hell is this thing? Why is it so smelly? Kang Ming Ming had thought that it was the stench of the trash bag in his hand, so he quickly tossed it aside and stood up. But it was still smelly after he stood up. Kang Ming Ming looked around and realized that the stench was coming from the pill in his hand. Why does this pill smell like this? Kang Ming Ming's stomach churned. Wasn't this a little too smelly? Had it been like this before? But Kang Ming Ming thought about it for a long time, and couldn't figure out if the pill had been smelly or not when he'd stepped on it. He'd been too excited at the time and he'd only been focused on mocking Kang Xiaobo. How could he have had the time to care about whether the pill smelled good or bad? That's probably it. Kang Ming Ming nodded in self-consolation. The color of the dog poop was just too similar to the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing. Kang Ming Ming had only taken a look at it in his hand before stepping on it, so he couldn't remember the color. Kang Ming Ming hurriedly and carefully held the dog poop in his hand. After making sure that no one was paying attention, he carefully ran back into the banquet hall. As soon as he entered, he saw his grandfather, Dr. Kang's inquiring gaze. Kang Ming Ming quickly nodded to him, indicating that he'd found the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing. Dr. Kang breathed a sigh of relief. If it really was a treasure, then it would have been a waste to throw it away. He had to give Lu Tianyi a call tonight to see if there really was such a thing. Lu Tianyi wanted to invite Lin Yi to sit in his car, but when he saw that Lin Yi drove his own car, he had to give up. Lin Yi drove Tang Yun, Kang Xiaobo, Xiaofan and Guan Xuemin back to Songshan. He sent Tang Yun back to the hospital and Xiaofan back home before bringing Kang Xiaobo to Guan Xuemin's house for a discussion. Kang Xiaobo originally wanted to accompany Xiaofan. He was afraid that Xiaofan would be in a bad mood after seeing Kang Ming Ming today. But when Xiaofan heard Lin Yi calling Kang Xiaobo for something important, why would she waste his time? He shook his head at Kang Xiaobo and smiled. "Xiaobo, brother Lin Yi is looking for you for something serious. You don't have to accompany me, I'm fine. I'm feeling much better now." "Are you really fine?" Kang Xiaobo was still worried. After all, he was hurt so deeply by Kang Ming Ming, how could he be fine just like that? "Haha, I'm waiting for you to take revenge for me one day." Xiaofan smiled. "I'll remember what you said today." "Alright, wait for me, I'll definitely do it." Kang Xiaobo clenched his fist. Lin Yi smiled. He gave Kang Xiaobo a stage to show off, but he needed Kang Xiaobo to be willing. If Kang Xiaobo was sloppy, even if he became his spokesperson, he would only be a role to supervise others. But if he was filled with fighting spirit, it would be different. As long as he had the intention, he would work hard and succeed sooner or later. As long as he had the confidence and dreams, he would definitely achieve it. "Tang Yun, I won't be going up. Grandpa Guan already told me about your father's surgery. I can't do anything about the bone problem, but after he's done with the surgery, I have some medicine that can quickly heal his wound." Lin Yi said to Tang Yun when she was about to get off the car, "I'll send it to you on Monday, I didn't bring it with me today." "Thank you," Tang Yun nodded and didn't refuse. She didn't know when it started, but she gradually got used to Lin Yi's care for her. After Tang Yun got off the car, Kang Xiaobo couldn't help but ask, "Boss, are you talking about the medicine similar to my second grandpa's golden creation medicine? In the market, only Dr. Kang's golden creation medicine could quickly heal a wound." No wonder Kang Xiaobo was surprised. He didn't expect Lin Yi to have this kind of medicine in his hands. "Haha, it should be similar." I haven't seen his formula before so I can't say for sure, but the effect should be similar, Lin Yi nodded. Kang Xiaobo was shocked. At this moment he finally understood why Lin Yi was so confident in supporting him to break with Kang Mingming and his second grandpa's family. When Lin Yi said that he could let him be on the same level as his second grandpa, Kang Xiaobo didn't really believe it, but for the sake of his face he said it boldly. At first Kang Xiaobo was a little nervous, not knowing if his bold words would become a joke, but now he knew that it wouldn't. If Lin Yi also had a formula similar to Golden Creation, then he was completely qualified to be on the same level as his second grandpa. Dr. Kang's medical company only made money from Golden Creation. Boss, you are really amazing. Where did you get the formula? My second grandpa hid the formula so well that even my grandpa didn't know. Kang Xiaobo said inside. My grandpa is also stupid. He didn't know where the formula was and my second grandpa stole it. I made it myself. Lin Yi shrugged. Kang Xiaobo was going to be his spokesperson soon, so it was fine to let him know some core secrets. You made it yourself? Kang Xiaobo was so shocked that his eyes widened. Lin Yi can make such a formula himself? How amazing is that? Alright, it's good that you know. Don't tell anyone. Lin Yi patted Kang Xiaobo's shoulder. I have some personal reasons and I don't want to stand out. So, this company belongs to you and Grandpa Guan to the outside world. Don't worry, boss. I won't tell anyone. When Kang Xiaobo heard that Lin Yi trusted him as a spokesperson, he was immediately touched. He nodded and said, Xiaofan and I won't tell anyone, this can be said? Lin Yi sweated. Xiaofan's leg, I have to solve it sooner or later, so it's fine to tell her. It's fine as long as a small group of people know. Boss, I just realized that the wisest decision I've ever made in my life was that day when I decided to help you fight on the rooftop. Xiaobo sighed. You wouldn't be taking care of me like this if I hadn't done it on impulse. Kang Xiaobo still had some self-awareness. He knew that he was useless. In Lin Yi's eyes he couldn't help at all. If there was something that could make Lin Yi look up to him, it was that time. However, what Kang Xiaobo said was really true. It was indeed because Kang Xiaobo could stand out in a hot-headed manner that Lin Yi regarded Kang Xiaobo as a brother. Chapter 382. Go call and ask. With the incident with Kang Xiaobo and Kang Mingming's incident, Dr. Kang's birthday banquet ended hastily at noon. The atmosphere was good, but there was an indescribable sense of oppression. It was the same for both the host and the guests. Dr. Kang didn't give Kang Xiaobo's parents a good look. Kang Xiaobo's parents couldn't do anything about it. While Kang Xiaobo's incident had caused quite a commotion, Kang Xiaobo's parents knew that it wasn't Kang Xiaobo's fault. Kang Xiaobo had given his second grandpa a huge gift, a precious pill. It was done out of kindness, but Kang Mingming didn't appreciate it and crushed the pill without any hesitation. And Dr. Kang didn't stop him after seeing it. That was the problem. Miracle Dr. Kang, from the bottom of his heart, felt a great distance between Xiaoming and Xiaobo, his own grandson and his cousin. No matter how much Kang Mingming had gone overboard, he was still his grandson. He could tolerate it, but Kang Xiaobo hadn't done anything wrong yet. He only suspected that Kang Xiaobo had brought a fake pill to take advantage of his title as a miracle doctor, and yet he allowed Kang Mingming to do something so disrespectful. Even if Kang Mingming's words were a little overboard, it was understandable. He was a boy, after all, and it was impossible for him to not be impulsive. So, Kang Xiaobo's parents were very understanding. What made them happier was that Kang Xiaobo's good friend seemed to be very powerful. So many big shots knew him and were very friendly to him. That meant that Kang Xiaobo wouldn't be at a disadvantage if he followed him. So, even though Kang Xiaobo's parents were treated coldly and disdainfully by Dr. Kang's family, they still felt a little comforted. Dr. Kang's family didn't like them either. After the banquet, Kang Xiaobo's parents left without even greeting them. It was clear that Dr. Kang's family was furious about the humiliation earlier. If you ask me, what kind of relatives do you have? It's fine if they don't help us after they become rich and we don't mind that. But what's the meaning of this? Kang Mu wasn't a member of the Kang family, and was extremely displeased by what happened today. Don't talk to relatives like this. Forget it. If it wasn't for Dad asking me to come, I wouldn't have come. Father Kang smiled bitterly, but your son really made my second uncle lose face today. My son? Isn't he your son? Kang Mu couldn't help but be proud when she mentioned her son. You see how loyal my son's friends are. They aren't even relatives yet, but they can speak up for him. They also know many powerful big shots. Look at your cousins. What are they? Right, the girl that my son pulled today, why is she a little lame? And what Kang Mingming said. Kang Fu was a little embarrassed. He didn't want to talk about his family anymore. No matter what, he was the second uncle who was related by blood. He was an elder. At the very least, it was his father who went to punish him. He couldn't say much. I saw it too. Kangmu was also a little worried. Xiaobo said those words today. Does he really like that girl? It seems that he deliberately stood up for her. I think so too. Kung Fu nodded. What should we do? Not to mention this kid's puppy love, he even found a lame girl? I don't know what this kid is thinking. Yeah, why don't we go home and talk to our son? Don't tell me he was fooled by that girl in the spur of the moment? Kang Mu was even more worried when she heard it. Say what? Kung Fu snorted helplessly. Your son was fooled? I don't think so. Oh? What do you mean? Kang Mu was slightly stunned. Think about it. Kang Xiaobo is impulsive, but is his good friend an impulsive person? I think this incident was most likely planned by him. He came to stand up for the girl named Xiaofan. Kung Fu understood. This person's family background isn't ordinary. You see, Lu Qianni and Guan Xuemin know him and the owner of the resort. So, I think he supports Kang Xiaobo to be together with that girl. As for why, I can't say it now. It's just a guess. Now that you put it that way, I think it's true. Kang Mu also came to a sudden realization. No matter what, let's go home and ask Xiaobo. Donghai City, Ocean View Villa District. Inside a luxurious villa, the Kang family was gathered in the living room. Dr. Kang Laikai sat in the main seat, looking at his children and grandchildren standing carefully in the room with a dark face. Xiaoming, where's that pill of life extension and toxin cleansing? Dr. Kang looked at Kang Ming and asked. Kang Ming was panicking. He carefully took out the dog poop and presented it to Dr. Kang with both hands. Grandpa, the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing is here. Dr. Kang nodded and used his hand to pick up the dark brown object in Kang Ming's hand. He was about to take a closer look when a stench assaulted his face. Dr. Kang almost vomited. What's that smell? Why is it so smelly? Grandpa, this is the smell of the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing. I was choked by it too. Kang Ming explained carefully. It's not a scam, is it? Dr. Kang frowned. I don't think that kid is very reliable. Gui Feng, aren't you on good terms with Lu Qianni? I think Lu Qianni seems to be very close with that kid today. Go ask him about it. Dr. Kang wasn't very happy when he said this. Lu Qianni had come to attend his birthday banquet, but left halfway through. Although he was from House Lu, it was still a huge loss of face for Dr. Kang. As for Guan Xuemin, Dr. Kang didn't dare say anything. Guan Xuemin was already giving him face by coming. He knew very well what kind of miracle doctor he was. He was just a fake miracle doctor, while Guan Xuemin was the real deal. Alright, I'll call and ask. Kang Guifeng nodded, took out his phone and walked to the side to make the call. No one in the room said a word while Kang Guifeng was on the phone. They waited quietly for the result. Hello? Brother Qianni? I'm Kang Guifeng. Kang Guifeng still wanted to get on Lu Qianni's good side. House Kang's business in Yanjing relied on the Lu's influence. At the end of the day, Dr. Kang only had a divine prescription. He wasn't a real miracle doctor, so there was no need for these big families to curry favor with them. On the other hand, Dr. Kang's family had to curry favor with these big families for the sake of development. In the eyes of ordinary people, these big families were mysterious existences high above the masses. It wasn't easy for them to even buy a bottle of golden creation, but to these big families they could buy as much as they wanted. They didn't have to worry about not having enough. Chapter 383. See the results? Oh, it's you, Guifeng bro. I had something urgent to attend to today, so I had to leave at the last minute. I'm very sorry about that. Lu Qianni said, but he didn't have any intention of apologizing at all. Kang Guifeng was a little displeased, but there was nothing he could do about it. After all, he still had to rely on Lu Qianni for his military medicine orders. It's fine. Kang Guifeng, however, smiled nonchalantly. Right, Brother Qianni, let me ask you something. Do you know my nephew's classmate today? Oh, you're talking about Mr. Lin? Of course I know him. Lu Qianni laughed. His family. Kang Guifeng wanted to talk about Lin Yi's background. He's amazing, isn't he? I say, Brother Guifeng, why are you asking this? Lu Qianni asked faintly. It's nothing, I'm just curious about the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing he gave me today. Brother Qianni, you seem to know a bit about it? Kang Guifeng probed. That? It's a good thing. Lu Qianni could more or less guess what Lin Yi was trying to say. He wanted Dr. Kang's family to regret it, so he didn't mind revealing something that would make them regret it. but he wouldn't say a word about the real thing. Good thing? Does that mean you know something about it, Brother Channy? Kang Guifeng's heart skipped a beat. There was no need for Lu Channy to lie to him about something like this. Who was Lu Channy? He was a member of the Lius. Even if he was close to Lin Yi, there was no way he'd help Lin Yi lie, was there? And so, Kang Guifeng had a vague feeling that the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing really was a good thing. Of course, while Kang Guifeng didn't think he was wrong, his guess was a bit off. If Lin Yi had asked Lu Channy to lie for him, Lu Channy would have nodded without hesitation. Haha, let's not talk about that, I can't talk about that. Lu Channy laughed again. Right, Brother Guifeng, I'm going back to send the old man back to Yanjing. Chem? Channy, brother, Elder Lu, isn't he here to see Miracle Doctor? Why did you go back? Guifeng paused. He's feeling better now. I even got him a courtyard house to grow vegetables in. Channy said with a smile. It's done? Guifeng was shocked. Didn't Miracle Dr. Guan say that only long-term acupuncture would work? Hee, how could I use the old man's body as a joke? If not, I wouldn't dare to send him back. Lu Channy smiled and said, well, let's not talk about this first. The old man asked me to accompany him to dance on the dance carpet. Ha! Kang Guifeng almost thought that there was something wrong with his ears. Dance on the dance mat? Old Lu Jianghu could still play on a dance mat? Even walking would be a problem, right? However, before Kang Guifeng could ask, the phone was hung up. Kang Guifeng sighed and walked back with a gloomy face. How is it? Dr. Kang saw that his son's complexion was a little abnormal, and his heart tightened as he asked hurriedly. I didn't get any answers, but it seems like it's really something good. Kang Guifeng said in a deep voice, but I got an important piece of news. Lu Channy's father, Elder Lu, has miraculously recovered and can even play on the dance carpet. What? Dr. Kang's heart almost exploded when he heard his son's words. You're saying that 90-year-old man can play on the dance mat? Really? Dr. Kang had seen Jianghu's condition before. He was so sick that even walking was difficult, but now he could play on the dance mat? His eyebrows twitched as a bad thought crossed his mind. Could it have something to do with the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing? I'm guessing so. There's an 80% chance that it's related. Why else would that old fox Lu Channy bring this up all of a sudden? Kang Guifeng nodded. That pill of life extension and toxin cleansing might really be something good. I just don't know where Kang Xiaobo's friend got it from. That guy looks like the son of a rich family, so it's not surprising that he could get his hands on some rare items. But this pill of life extension and toxin cleansing, is it really the real deal? Dr. Kang picked up the dog poop in his hand in disbelief. How can it work when it's so smelly? Grandpa, as the saying goes, good medicine tastes bitter. I don't think there's any truth to that. Kang Mingming had thought of this before, so he decided to show it off now. He wanted to make up for his mistake, so he tried his best to make himself seem more important. Xiaoming's right. Good medicine tastes bitter. Dr. Kang nodded in agreement. But what you hear from others is just hearsay. You have to verify it yourself to see it for yourself. Grandpa, you mean? Kang Mingming asked. How about this? Cut this pill of life extension and toxin cleansing in half, then swallow it. See if it has any effects. Dr. Kang hesitated for a moment before speaking to Kang Mingming. Me. Kang Mingming thought his grandpa was going to take it himself. He didn't expect it to be him. Why? You don't want to live longer? Dr. Kang glanced at Kang Mingming. Dr. Kang didn't dare to take it himself. After all, he was old and couldn't handle the torment. But Kang Mingming was fine. It's not that. Kang Xiaoming was a little timid. The pill of life extension and toxin cleansing was supposed to be a good item, but it was just a guess from his family. He didn't dare eat it without a definite conclusion. You're afraid it's poisonous? Miracle Dr. Kang humphed. Idiot, no matter how stupid Xiaobo is, there's no way he'd send a poison pill over. That's murder in front of everyone's eyes, you'd have to spend eternity in jail. Even if this pill isn't the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing, it won't have any side effects. Dad, why don't I try it? Kang Tsuepu hesitated for a moment before stepping forward. Kang Mingming was his son. How could he let his son eat something so strange? In the Kang family, Elder Kang was the most important person. Big brother Kang Guifeng and nephew Kang Xiaolong were the most important. On the other hand, he and his son weren't as important. Something like this could only fall to him. The problem was that only the core members of the Kang family knew about this. They couldn't let outsiders try it. If word got out and the great Dr. Kang's family picked up the crushed pill and ate it, wouldn't they laugh their heads off? Chapter 384. Chapter 384, Unexpected Call. Let me do it. Kang Ming realized that his grandfather's words made sense. He'd been too cautious before, and now that he thought about it, Kang Xiaobo wouldn't send poison over unless he was an idiot. Sending poison was suicide. If something happened to Dr. Kang's family, he'd be the first suspect. And so, Kang Ming decided to try it himself. He couldn't let it spoil him even if he didn't like it. Letting his father eat it would only make his grandfather look down on him. Kang Xiaobo gritted his teeth and voiced his decision. Kang Ming's words surprised Dr. Kang a bit. He didn't think that this cowardly grandson of his would be willing to try the medicine on his own. Thus he said happily, "Good. Xiaoming, Grandpa didn't think that there would be a day when you'd grow up. Don't worry, once we figure out how to make this pill, I'll give you a share of the profits." Kang Ming was overjoyed. If this pill of life extension and toxin cleansing was a success, the profits wouldn't be any less than the golden creation. It was a great thing for him to be able to own a share of the company. In the third generation of House Kang, even the outstanding Kang Xiaolong didn't have a share. Kang Ming was overjoyed at the thought that he'd be the first. Kang Ming's father, Kang Cuipu, was surprised by his son's courage and insight as well. He didn't think that his son's decision would bring him such great profits and benefits. Even Xiaolong was looking at his brother with jealousy. In House Kang, Kang Ming had always been a cowardly hedonistic young master, so when he did bad things, everyone was used to it. Today, however, he'd suddenly done something sensible. It was a surprise. And so, in his surprise, Dr. Kang gave Kang Ming this promise. Kang Ming took the dog poop from Dr. Kang's hands and placed it on the table. He cut it open with a sharp knife and picked up half of it, preparing to swallow it. "Stinks." Kang Ming put it to his mouth, almost dying from disgust. "Why does it taste the same as dog poop?" "It's like you said, good medicine tastes bitter," Kang Cuipu advised. He was also very excited. If his son took the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing and had an effect, then he would be able to get a share of the company. As a father, he would also be proud. Kang Ming nodded and clenched his teeth. He pinched his nose and closed his eyes, sending half of the dog poop into his mouth. He quickly drank a few mouthfuls of water to suppress the urge to vomit. After a while, he finally caught his breath and let out a long sigh. "Phew. I finally ate it. All right, Xiaoming, don't go out for the next few days. Stay at home and see the effects." Miracle Dr. Kang nodded, turning to Guifeng. "Guifeng, seal up the other half of the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing. If the illumination works, send it to the lab and get the ingredients analyzed." "Yes." Kang Guifeng nodded. Kang Ming felt his stomach churn after eating the dog poop, but he endured the urge to vomit and went back to his room lying on his bed. It had to be said that Kang Ming was quite lucky. The half of the dog poop he took had some pill of life extension and toxin cleansing left on it. It wasn't completely dog poop. Lin Yi naturally didn't know what happened at the Kangs. If he knew that Kang Ming had picked up the dog poop as the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing, and had even eaten half of it, he'd probably be laughing his head off. In Xuemin's house, Lin Yi told Kang Xiaobo about the medical company. But while Kang Xiaobo was excited, he was also worried. After all, he had no experience in business management. Though he didn't want to give up this great opportunity, Kang Xiaobo wasn't an idiot. He knew the consequences of messing around. "Boss, I don't know anything about business management. You have to let me learn." After the excitement, Kang Xiaobo regained his composure. He was an impulsive person, but after that, he could calmly consider the problem. During the fight on the rooftop and Xiaofen's incident, Kang Xiaobo had displayed his impulsive personality. But after that, he was able to calm down and consider the pros and cons. Kang Xiaobo's words put Lin Yi in a difficult position. Xuemin was a scholar, so he naturally didn't have any experience in business management. Lin Yi, on the other hand, didn't have any experience in assassination. Now, Kang Xiaobo's words weren't unreasonable. He didn't have any relevant experience either. At that moment, Lin Yi finally understood that some things were too simple. You couldn't start a company just because you had a prescription. However, Lin Yi didn't want him to participate in the operation of the company if he wasn't trustworthy. First of all, Lin Yi was a secret. Lin Yi didn't want to expose himself in front of the public and let everyone know that the prescription came from him. After all, Lin Yi was still in the middle of a mission. It wasn't appropriate for him to be distracted by other things. "Little E, my idea is to find a trustworthy professional manager. As for me, I mainly want to be a vice president in name or a director of research and development. I just need to cooperate with the publicity," Xuemin suggested. As for the company, we can let Xiaobo and Xinxin be the company's directors. They will only participate in the decision-making and not the operation. That's not a bad idea. The key is to find a trustworthy manager, Lin nodded, but this person is not so easy to find. This is urgent. Xuemin shook his head. I'll ask someone else. Just like that, the matter was temporarily put on hold. Lin Yi drove Kang Xiaobo out of Xuemin's villa. He wanted to send him home directly, but Kang Xiaobo said that he wanted to go to a bookstore to buy some business management books. Although it was a bit of a last-minute effort, Lin Yi was glad that Kang Xiaobo had the intention. He was afraid that Kang Xiaobo wouldn't work hard. As long as he was willing to work hard, everything would be fine. Lin Yi sent Xiaobo to the bookstore but didn't go up with him. He went straight back to Mingyao's villa. It had been 2 days since he left, and he wondered if the miss was still mad at him. He told Mingyao that he'd be accompanying Xiaobo to his second grandpa's birthday banquet, and Mingyao hadn't said anything about it, but who knew if Yushu was trying to drive a wedge between them. When he was almost home, Lin Yi's phone rang. He thought it was Kang Xiaobo or Tang Yun, but when he saw the caller ID he couldn't help but freeze. Chapter 385. Chapter 385. Wang Xinyan's family. Lin Yi paused. Wasn't Wang Xinyan supposed to go to Yanjing to take care of the funeral? Why was she calling him? Was she back already? It couldn't be. How many days had it been? It hadn't even been a week. Lin Yi was a bit confused, but he picked up anyway. Hello? But when he picked up the phone, the call was cut off. What was the meaning of this? Did she call the wrong number? Or was it something else? Lin Yi hesitated for a moment before calling back. It was the first time Xinyan had called him after all, and he couldn't just ignore it. I'm sorry, the number you have dialed is either powered off or out of service. Please try again later. The robotic voice told Lin Yi that the other party's phone had been turned off. Lin Yi frowned. Could it be that Xinyan was about to call him, and her phone ran out of battery? Lin Yi shook his head and put the phone back in his pocket. There was nothing Lin Yi could do if he couldn't reach her. He was a little worried, but the two were strangers who'd met by chance, and Xinyan was far away in Yanjing. Lin Yi didn't even know where she was. In a luxurious mansion in Yanjing, a man with a fierce look on his face snatched Xinyan's phone from her hands and smashed it on the ground, stomping on it a couple of times. Stupid girl, are you trying to call someone over? I didn't think you'd have a phone on you. Good thing I didn't go too far to keep an eye on you. Idea ruined everything. Xinyan looked at the phone that had been stomped on and raised her head coldly. I'm your cousin, and this is how you're going to treat me? Cousin? Humph. Spit out the Xiao family's assets first. The man humphed. Grandpa's married you off to someone else in his will. Don't even think about leaving this room before he comes with a betrothal gift. After saying that, the man closed the door with a bang, and then the sound of the door being locked could be heard. Xinyan sighed helplessly. She wouldn't have come back if she'd known that the Xiao family was in such dire straits. Not only were her parents under house arrest, but she herself was engaged to a man she didn't even know because of her grandfather's will. It wasn't until she arrived at the Xiao family that Xinyan realized that the Xiao family wasn't as glamorous as it looked on the outside. The two uncles were fighting over the inheritance, but the Xiao family was already strong on the outside. His grandfather had Alzheimer's disease. In the last few years of his life he signed a few stupid contracts. Not only did he cause the company to lose a lot of money, but he also owed a lot of debt. Even if he sold the company now, it would be enough to pay off the debt. The two uncles, who were originally fighting over the family property, surprisingly united again after finding out the amount of the family property. Now that he couldn't even pay his debts, how could he snatch the family's property? What property was there to fight over? All that was left were the properties that Elder Xiao had bought when he was still alive, but the number of properties could be counted with one's fingers. There wasn't much point in fighting over it, so they could just split it evenly. In the eyes of ordinary people, these villas and properties were already worth thousands of dollars. They could live a well-off life just by relying on the rent. However, for the two Xiao brothers who were used to living a lavish life, it was unbearable. And so, they turned their attention to their sister, Wang Xinyan's mother, Xiao Qinlin, who had left home for many years. Their reason was simple and shameless. Elder Xiao had given them 50,000 kuai for travel expenses when Qinlin ran away from home to elope with Wang Xinyan's father, Wang Xuban. This 50,000 kuai was said to be Wang Xuban's investment in his company, and now they wanted him to pay it back with interest. Of course, other than Elder Xiao's will, the Xiao brothers also had a promissory note, written by Qinlin all those years ago. Back then, old man Xiao had given Xiao Qinlin 50,000 yuan for the sake of his daughter, even though Xiao Qinlin had broken up with her family and eloped with Wang Xuban. No matter what, she was still his daughter and he couldn't treat her badly. But Qinlin had let her emotions get the better of her. Since she had broken off with the Xiao family, she naturally wouldn't take the Xiao family's money for free. She had written a promissory note to Elder Xiao, saying that she'd pay it back with interest when she became rich. Elder Xiao didn't expect his daughter to pay it back either. He merely laughed it off and told his eldest son Xiaoji to throw the note away. Xiaoji, however, was careful and hid the note. After Elder Xiao's death, the note became evidence that the Xiao brothers were trying to blackmail Qinlin. With the note and Elder Xiao's will, there was nothing Qinlin could do no matter how angry she was. Who told her to write that note all those years ago? Of course, that wasn't the most infuriating thing. The most infuriating thing was that Elder Xiao had found a husband for Xinyan in his will. Wasn't it a little too early for a 12th grader to get engaged? The Xiao brothers were very cocky, saying that if Qinlin didn't hand over the 20% of their company's shares, they'd see it in court. They'd let the public see that Elder Xiao's daughter didn't care about his body after his death, and was even trying to steal her brother's assets. In all honesty, who was the one trying to steal whose assets? Qinlin had decided to break off with her family for love, but she was still a filial person. She wouldn't have been able to put down everything she had on hand to handle Elder Xiao's funeral otherwise. Naturally, Lin Yi didn't know what was going on with the Xiao family, but even if he did know, he wouldn't know how to intervene. Family matters like this were the hardest to solve. Lin Yi returned to the villa to see Mengyao and Yushu digging something in the yard, each holding a small shovel. Yushu's face was covered in dirt, and Mingyao's clothes were a little dusty, but her face wasn't as bad as Yushu's. Lin Yi parked the car in the yard and got out. He looked at the two curiously. Yao Yao, Shu, what are you guys doing? Shil bro, you're back? We're digging for treasure, come help me and Yao Yao. We're so tired. Yushu waved happily at Lin Yi when he came back. Shu, what did you call him for? Mengyao glared at Yushu and lowered her voice. What if he sees us? Don't you feel embarrassed? Chapter 386. Treasure hunt in the yard, yeah. Mengyao couldn't help but feel tempted by Yushu's words. It was true that the key was in Shu's hands, and Lin Yi wouldn't be able to open the chest even if he managed to dig it out. Maybe we should let him try while we rest? I'm a little tired, what about you? I'm a little tired too, let's get Shield Bro to try then? Yushu wouldn't have been so happy to see him come back if she wasn't tired, calling him over so urgently. Yeah, you call him then. Mengyao nodded. We don't know when we'll find it if we keep digging like this. That's right. We don't even know where it's buried, the map we drew when we were kids isn't working at all. Yushu wiped the sweat off her forehead and a few more mud marks appeared. You're still talking about it? Look at that stupid map you drew, it'd be a miracle if we could find it. Mengyao waved the map in her hand. I said it'd be fine, I'd be able to find it, my ass. Alright, Yao Yao, let's not talk about me, I was only 8 years old back then, it's already pretty good that I could draw something like this. Yushu took the map back embarrassedly before pulling on Mingyao's arm. Don't touch me. Oh. Mengyao realized that Yushu had left a few mud marks on her arm. What's up? Lin Yi locked the car door and walked over to see Yushu and Mengyao whispering to each other. He didn't know what they were talking about. Lin Yi, help us dig for treasure. Mengyao said as she handed the Luoyang shovel to Lin Yi. Dig for treasure? Lin Yi's eyes went wide as he rubbed his ears, wondering if there was something wrong with his hearing. Where? Over here. Yushu pointed at the ground in the yard. In the villa's yard? Lin Yi blinked. You're not kidding, are you? How could there be treasure in this villa's yard? Did you two watch too many movies? This villa was only built about 10 years ago. How could there be treasures? Of course Yushu was about to say, we buried it, when Mengyao stopped her. If we say there is, then there must be. Mengyao glared at Yushu. She couldn't tell Lin Yi that they were the ones who buried the treasure. What if Lin Yi dug it out and took a peek? All right. Lin Yi looked at the two girls' strange expressions and could only nod. Anyway, if the miss asked him to dig, he would dig. It didn't take much effort. Where should we dig? It's in this courtyard. Dig as you see fit. Other than the Luoyang shovel, Mengyao also had some simple pickaxes and ropes. Shield Bro, here's another treasure map. Yushu said as she handed the treasure map she drew when she was young to Lin Yi. Take a look at it. Okay. Lin Yi nodded as he took the map and got to work. Mengyao rolled her eyes at Yushu helplessly and pulled her a few steps away. Are you stupid? How could you give that map to Lin Yi? Oh. It's fine, I'm the one who's embarrassed I drew it. Yushu didn't care at all. I thought it'd be easier for him to find it with a map. He'd have no clue at all. You're the one who's embarrassed, yes, but giving Lin Yi a treasure map. Isn't that telling him that we're the ones who buried the treasure? Meng Yao said helplessly. What if he sees what's in there? Can you afford to lose face like that? I can you? Yushu nodded. Meng Yao wanted to stomp Yushu to death. You can, but I can't. Hee, it's fine, Yao Yao. Don't forget that we have the key. Yushu waved the key in her hand. All right. Meng Yao didn't have a choice, she couldn't just ask for the map back, could she? Yao Yao, don't think so much, Shield Bro isn't the type to peep into other people's privacy. He wouldn't open it if he saw a lock. Yushu comforted. Meng Yao nodded. Indeed, Lin Yi didn't seem to be the type to peep into other people's privacy. She and Shu lived upstairs, but Lin Yi hadn't gone up even once. Leaving General Wei Wu there seemed to be an unnecessary move. Meng Yao and Yushu went back to the villa to rest. They'd been digging for a long time. They'd been digging for the whole afternoon yesterday, starting right after Lin Yi left. Today they'd been digging for the whole day. Both of them were covered in sweat and dirt. Yushu was in a worse state, with mud marks all over her face. The first thing they did was to rush to the bathroom on the second floor to take a shower and change their clothes. Lin Yi waited for the two to leave before picking up the map Yushu gave him. He almost fell to the ground when he saw it. Was this a map? Was there anyone more retarded than this? On the map there was a drawing of a dog. From the looks of it, it should be a smaller version of General Wei Wu. Maybe it was the dog's younger self? Next to General Wei Wu was a sandbag, and opposite the sandbag were two school bags. The location of the treasure was in the middle of these three things. Triangulation was quite accurate, but where would Lin Yi find these things now? General Wei Wu was alive and it could move. The sandbag had been tossed thousands of miles away, and these two school bags should be Meng Yao and Yushu's, right? Maybe they were broken and thrown away. Lin Yi was speechless. Only Yushu could draw a treasure map like this. It was too awesome. No wonder they couldn't find anything even with the map. It was as good as not having it. Young Miss had really arranged a difficult task for him. Lin Yi frowned as he looked at the treasure map. He didn't move immediately. Lin Yi didn't have the time to turn every inch of the yard upside down. He had to think of a shortcut. Lin Yi threw away the Luoyang shovel in his hand. He didn't know where these two girls got such a rare thing. Did they watch too many TV dramas? They weren't going to rob a grave, so why did they get a Luoyang shovel? A shovel was more than enough to dig in one's own yard. Of course, Lin Yi didn't know that this Luoyang shovel was obtained by Faubert after a lot of effort. The miss called him to ask for a Luoyang shovel. Faubert asked her what she was going to do, and she said she was digging for treasure. Faubert didn't dare to ask too much. What if it was a secret? So he used his connections and finally got a Luoyang shovel. Chapter 387. You come here. You come here. Lin Yi made a hand signal to General Wei Wu. He wasn't sure if General Wei Wu could understand it, but Lin Yi's hand signal could only be understood by a trained hound. But General Wei Wu seemed to be very smart, and it was trained as well. Lin Yi's hand signal made it run over immediately. General Wei Wu was afraid of Lin Yi, but it didn't dare to show it. It could only pretend to be happy. It felt like Lin Yi was going to kill it and eat it at any time. Lin Yi brought General Wei Wu to the yard, and without a word, he placed the treasure map Yushu drew in front of General Wei Wu. He pointed at the map and smiled coldly. General Wei Wu felt a chill from the bottom of its heart, and its fur stood up. The feeling of being killed and eaten was even worse. But General Wei Wu didn't dare to run away. It was sure that if it ran, Lin Yi would be able to catch up to it, and its ending would be even worse. And so, General Wei Wu looked at the treasure map in Lin Yi's hand nervously. It felt familiar, and it understood what Lin Yi meant. He had to admit that this dog was quite smart. Lin Yi saw that General Wei Wu understood him, and he didn't say anything else. He just sat there and played with the Luoyang shovel. General Wei Wu was sweating profusely, afraid that if Lin Yi didn't like it, he would chop off its head with the shovel. It quickly got up and started to search the yard. Of course, it didn't dare to walk too fast in order to not let Lin Yi misunderstand. What if Lin Yi misunderstood and thought that it was running away? General Wei Wu's actions surprised Lin Yi as well. This dog wasn't as simple as it seemed. It really understood what he meant? It even knew his threat? Was it a transmigrator? However, General Wei Wu quickly stopped at a spot and used its claws to dig the soil. Then it called out to Lin Yi. Lin Yi nodded. He just wanted to give it a try, but he didn't expect General Wei Wu to be so helpful. He found it so quickly? Lin Yi used the Luoyang shovel in his hand to dig. Not long after, there was a crisp ding sound. Lin Yi was a little surprised. He didn't expect to find it so easily. Satisfied, Lin Yi nodded at General Wei Wu, signaling it to go back. Then Linny dug out the treasure chest. The surface of the treasure chest was covered in rust. Although it could be seen that it was a very good iron chest, it had been corroded for too long. There was also a small lock on top of it, but it had been corroded to the point that it was broken. It was useless. When was this buried? Meng Yao and Yushu couldn't have buried it, could they? Thinking about the treasure map, it was possible. Linny was a little speechless as he opened the treasure chest. If there was a lock on top of the treasure chest, Linny naturally wouldn't break the lock, but now that the lock was broken, Linny naturally opened the treasure chest. Inside the treasure chest was an oiled paper bag. Although the outside of the treasure chest was covered in rust, and even the lock on top of the treasure chest was corroded and broken, the inside of the treasure chest was well made. It had a waterproof layer and rubber pad, and after so many years, it was only a little wet. The oiled paper inside didn't show any signs of corrosion. From the looks of it, the price of this treasure chest shouldn't be cheap. However, for the two young ladies it was nothing. Linny took out the oiled paper bag and opened it casually. He realized that the layers inside were very tight. Not only was there oiled paper, there was also a plastic sheet. After opening the outer packaging, there were two small bags inside. Linny was a little surprised. Was this the so-called treasure? Linny was just about to open one of the sachets when he heard a sudden scream from behind, scaring Linny so much that he almost dropped the sachet in his hand. Linny turned around to see Meng Yao running towards him with a towel wrapped around her. The hem of the towel fluttered in the wind, revealing a pair of smooth, jade-like legs. Although he couldn't see it clearly, Linny couldn't help but gulp down a mouthful of saliva. Meng Yao's body was tall and well-proportioned. Although she wasn't as voluptuous as Yushu, her figure was still 1 in 100. Linny wouldn't take the initiative to peek at the miss, but there was no harm in looking at her when she was right in front of him. Meng Yao suddenly realized where Linny was looking at. Her face reddened as she snatched the sachet from Linny's hands. Shameless. She turned around and walked quickly back into the villa, but this time she didn't dare run. She walked fast, but she moved slowly with small, quick steps. Linny smiled bitterly. It was over. He'd left a bad impression on the Mississippi. But, in all honesty, it was the miss who'd run away fast and let him see it. It wasn't like he'd seen it on his own accord. He went back to the living room dejectedly. Meng Yao and Yushu were already upstairs. Linny was a little speechless. He'd done something good and now he'd ruined it? He was helping them dig for treasure and they were calling him shameless. Man-peeping wasn't good either. After a while, Meng Yao and Yushu came down from upstairs. The two had already changed into tight pajamas, and Linny couldn't see anything. But Linny felt wronged. Meng Yao wore shorts sometimes. Didn't that expose even more of her body? He only felt that the hazy feeling was a little exciting, but he didn't see anything at all. Looking at Meng Yao's face, Linny quickly sat down and pretended that it had nothing to do with him as he prepared to watch TV. Ahem. Meng Yao saw that the guy didn't seem to realize what he'd done. She got even angrier and glared at Linny after coughing twice. It's the Mississippi. What's up? Linny raised his head and looked at Meng Yao carefully, pretending that he'd just seen Meng Yao coming down the stairs. It couldn't be helped. It was his fault for peeping at her. Shield bro, Yao Yao's going to scold you. Be careful. Yushu winked at Linny. But the solemn atmosphere disappeared with Yushu's interference. Meng Yao was about to explode. This Yushu was here to mess things up. This girl probably liked Linny and was helping him out. But Linny was too shameless. She had to give him a warning. And so, Meng Yao pretended not to hear Yushu's words. She stared at Linny sternly. Linny, do you know what a follower should do? I know. I shouldn't look at things I shouldn't. Linny nodded. Chapter 388. Chapter 388, Past Wishes, but I saw it by accident, it's not my fault. Linny said, feeling wronged. How could he be blamed for this? By accident? Who are you trying to fool? Meng Yao's eyes were wide open. There's a lock on the chest. How could you have seen it if you hadn't opened it? What? Lin Yi's eyes were wide open as well. Chest? You're talking about a chest? If it wasn't a chest, then what did you think it was? Meng Yao wasn't happy with Lin Yi's act. I thought you were talking about your thighs? Linny said, sweating. Thighs. Meng Yao's face reddened. Don't change the topic, it was an accident. I'm talking about why you broke the lock on the chest. Don't you know that it's immoral to peek at someone else's privacy? Had it been someone else, Meng Yao would have thought that the lock might have been broken by someone else, but Linny had pulled down the iron bars of the storeroom in the villa's backyard with ease, saving Yushu. Breaking a small lock was a piece of cake for Linny. It wasn't her thighs? As long as it wasn't. Lin Yi let out a long sigh of relief. It seemed that Meng Yao wasn't going to pursue the matter any further, and that made Lin Yi feel relieved. As for the lock on the chest, Lin Yi didn't think much of it. I didn't break the lock, it's been corroded for years and the chest can be opened directly. Really? Meng Yao blinked at Lin Yi's explanation. Really? You can go see for yourself if you don't believe me. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. Ah. Meng Yao panicked after listening to Lin Yi's explanation. Lin Yi had no reason to lie to her. After all, he only needed to go out and take a look to know the result. Before Meng Yao could say anything, Yushu ran out and came back not long later with a broken lock in her hand. Yao Yao, look, it's really the lock that's corroded, it's not Shield Bro's doing. I told you before, Shield Bro isn't that kind of person. Little Shu, which side are you on? Meng Yao was a little pissed off at Yushu's words. Why don't you hide it and destroy the evidence? Oh? Should I throw it away now? Yushu asked weakly. Meng Yao's face reddened when she realized that Lin Yi was still there. I'm just saying, I'm just joking. Come on, let's go upstairs. Ugh, okay. Yushu nodded and smiled at Lin Yi. Then she went upstairs with Meng Yao. Lin Yi didn't know what was going on. Was the meeting over just like that? The miss didn't want to cause trouble for him anymore? Lin Yi didn't think that things would end so easily. What a surprise. Shu, you've made me lose face. You brainless girl, tell me, did you help Lin Yi on purpose? Meng Yao was very furious. After all this, it was all her fault. She wanted to yell at Lin Yi but couldn't bring herself to do so. No, I'm just telling the truth. Yushu said innocently. Yao Yao, do you want me to lie? Didn't you always tell me that lying kids are bad? Meng Yao waved her hand helplessly when Yushu changed the topic. It's fine, let's go upstairs. Okay, I want to see what wishes I wrote when I was young. I forgot. Yushu said excitedly as she ran upstairs. Which of these 2 sachets is yours? Meng Yao asked as she looked at the 2 pouches in her hands. She couldn't tell who belonged to whom. It was way too long ago, or else she would have remembered where she buried it. I don't know. Let's open one each. It's been a long time anyway. We can see what wishes we made back then. Yushu said. All right then. Meng Yao nodded after some hesitation. She didn't want Yushu to find out about her secret. The girl wasn't very trustworthy. She'd probably spread the news to Lin Yi the moment she found out. That'd be so embarrassing. But thinking about it, it was a long time ago, and she couldn't even remember what she'd written. Even if Lin Yi found out, it was just a childhood fantasy and it didn't matter. And so, Meng Yao and Yushu each picked up a pouch and opened it. The pouches were sewn together with thin thread, and the 2 of them weren't in the mood to open them bit by bit. Yushu, who couldn't wait any longer, took out a pair of scissors and cut off the thread before opening the pouch. Hee, I'll open it first and see whose it is. Yushu said with a smile. The paper was a little yellowed and the handwriting was old, but it was still very clear. My wish is to live with Shu for the rest of my life, and be happy forever. This was evidently Meng Yao's handwriting, and Meng Yao listened to Yushu's words in surprise. She didn't think that she'd been this close with Shu since they were kids. Yao Yao, I'm so touched. Yushu was a carefree person, but she couldn't help but feel touched when she read the contents of the paper. Her eyes reddened and tears were about to fall. Humph, now you know how good I am to you? Meng Yao took the scissors and opened the pouch in her hand. Needless to say, this was Yushu's. My wish is to marry Yao Yao and be with her for the rest of my life. Ah. Meng Yao's eyes widened after reading the contents of the paper. Yushu wanted to marry her? Was there something wrong with her? Was she a lesbian? Huh. Yushu paused as well. She didn't think that her wish would be this powerful. Yao Yao, could it be that we were a pair of lesbians back then? Why else would our wishes be the same? Lesbians, my ass. Meng Yao was speechless. What's the same? Far from it. If we're a pair of lesbians, it's you, not me. I'm writing that I want to live with you, that we can live together as sisters. Look at what you wrote, you want to marry me, you're the one with the problem. Chapter 389. Don't forget the video. Yushu was deep in thought, blushing when Meng Yao interrupted her. You're not thinking about something unhealthy again, are you? Nope. Yushu shook her head, her thoughts exposed. Then why are you blushing? Meng Yao didn't quite believe her. I just feel like my old wish is a little hard to fulfill. But I've decided to change it. Yushu said. I've decided to marry the same man with Yao Yao so we can live together forever. Meng Yao sweated. Why do you still remember that wish? It was close to evening when an annoying visitor came to the villa. Lin Yi didn't think that Jianghu would have the balls to come knocking on his door again. Hadn't he been beaten up enough last time? But, looking at the smile on his face, Lin almost thought that the guy had lost his memory after being beaten up. Brother Lin, I'm really sorry about last time. I didn't think we'd part on such bad terms after a meal. It's my fault, I haven't been back to Songshan for years, I don't know the situation here. Never mind, let's not talk about last time. Are you free tonight? I have a few bros who admire you, Brother Lin, and want to have a few drinks with Brother Lin? Jiangwen smiled at Lin Yi. Lin Yi looked at Jiangwen oddly. This guy couldn't be thinking of ways to get back at him after what happened last time, could he? This guy was really impatient. He came to seek revenge so soon? Lin Yi turned to Meng Yao, asking for her opinion. Meng Yao naturally knew that Jiangwen was up to no good. If this guy was an amnesiac, he wouldn't have forgotten that Lin Yi had just beaten him up, would he? The band-aid on his forehead was proof of that. Jiangwen bro, is there something wrong with your heart? Yushu looked at Jiangwen, surprised. Jiangwen didn't know what to say. Shu, what are you talking about? I don't understand. It's nothing, I just think you're looking for trouble. Yushu didn't care about Jiangwen's face at all. Jiangwen was a little pissed at Yushu, but he didn't dare say anything. 1. He was worried about his image in front of Meng Yao, and 2. He really couldn't afford to piss off this girl. Yao Yao Mei Mei, today I want to thank my savior. You don't mind lending me your bodyguard, right? Jiangwen smiled as he looked at Meng Yao. He emphasized the word bodyguard on purpose, implying that he already knew that Lin Yi was his bodyguard. Meng Yao frowned, but the fact that Lin Yi was hired by her dad wasn't a secret. Many people in the company knew about it, and Jiangwen wouldn't be able to hide it from him if he wanted to. She didn't want to make a fuss about Lin Yi. It's nighttime now, I can't control what he wants to do. Speaking of which, Meng Yao was still a little pissed off because of what happened in the afternoon. She couldn't vent her anger, so she was more than happy to see Jiangwen cause trouble for Lin Yi. Although it was foreseeable that Jiangwen would get beaten up again, Meng Yao didn't want Lin Yi to have it easy. She wanted him to do some work, and it'd help relieve some of the anger in her heart. Haha, Brother Lin, your boss has agreed to it. What do you think? Give me some face? Jiangwen smiled as he looked at Lin Yi. Alright, let's go then. Lin Yi nodded. Since Meng Yao had put it that way, he might as well go teach the kid a lesson. A shield had to have the awareness of a shield, after all. He couldn't just take his salary for free, could he? Let's go then, Mr. Lin. Jiangwen was overjoyed when he heard that Lin Yi had agreed. Meng Yao and Lin Yi's guess was right. He was here to get back at Lin Yi today. Jiangwen was pissed off after being tricked by Lin Yi last time, especially since the one who beat him up was Zihua, the person he was supposed to cooperate with. There was no way he could vent his anger. So, if Jiangwen didn't teach Lin Yi a lesson, the latter would think that he was a pushover. Of course, Jiangwen couldn't do anything to Lin Yi in broad daylight. After all, he was inviting Lin Yi to dinner from Meng Yao's place. He couldn't be too obvious or Meng Yao would think that he was petty. Jiangwen's idea was that since Lin Yi had tricked him once, he tricked him once as well. He'd let Lin Yi suffer in silence. Lin Yi stood up and followed Jiangwen out of the villa. When he reached the door, he heard Yushu calling him from behind. Shield bro video. Don't forget. Lin Yi nodded with a bitter smile. Jiangwen, who was walking in front of him, almost fell to the ground. So Lin Yi had recorded him last time? Didn't Meng Yao see it too? Fuck, he'd make a fool of himself. No wonder Meng Yao was looking at the bandage on his forehead with a weird expression today. So she already knew about it. This Lin Yi, he'd make a fool of himself this time. But this time he'd be the one making a fool of himself. Didn't Yushu want to record it? Fine, he'd fulfill his wish. He'd record it for her to see. With that thought, Jiangwen calmed down a little. A smile appeared on his face as he acted like he didn't understand. Shu lil sis, don't worry. I'll get a professional videographer to record the drinking competition later. Yushu didn't say anything. She only frowned as she waited for Lin Yi and Jiangwen to leave the villa. Yao Yao, Jiangwen seems pretty confident this time? Who knows? He looked pretty confident last time. Meng Yao curled her lips. Compared to Lin Yi, she hated Jiangwen more. That's true. I hope Shield Bro can give us another surprise this time. Hee, I'd like to see how Jiangwen gets unlucky this time. Yushu nodded. From Jiangwen's words, Lin Yi could tell what he was planning. Drinking competition? Could it be that this guy wants to get me drunk and then do something? But, getting himself drunk? Was that even possible? Lin Yi smiled faintly as he followed behind Jiangwen. Mr. Lin, we're not going home until we're drunk. Let's not drive, okay? Otherwise we won't be able to drive back. Jiangwen was afraid that Lin Yi wouldn't drink so much if he drove. His plan would fail then. Alright, we'll take your car then. Lin Yi didn't mind. He could take a taxi back if he didn't drive. Chapter 390. No going home, we didn't get to enjoy ourselves last time, we made a small mistake. This time we're going to enjoy ourselves to the fullest. Jianghu pointed at a black Rolls-Royce. Get in please. Linny nodded and got in. The car started moving slowly after Jianghu got in. It seemed that Jianghu had already booked a hotel, and was just waiting for Lin Yi's approval. The location this time was still Starlight Hotel, and it seemed that Jianghu could pick himself up from wherever he fell. The room was the same as last time, but there were a few more people here. Other than Taizao, there was also the feminine-looking man from before, and a fatty who looked like a Mithriya Buddha. All three of them stood up when they saw Jianghu enter, evidently looking to Jianghu as their leader. Mr. Lin, you're here. Taizao walked over and held Lin Yi's hand passionately, but there was a flash of venom in his eyes. He wasn't going to let that go so easily after getting beaten up by Jianghu and him. Ah Su bro, what's wrong with your forehead? Chem? I saw a band-aid on an bro's head as well. Don't tell me you two were playing headbutt and bumped into each other? Lin Yi had been with Yushu for a long time now, and his way of speaking was a bit like Yushu's. Lin Yi couldn't help but blush with embarrassment at his imaginations. He could imagine the two of them arching their backs and using all their strength to bump into each other. Taizao sweated profusely, feeling even more pissed off. Who the hell would bump their heads into each other? Unless they were brainless. Why's there a band-aid on your head? Don't you know what's going on? But he was here to get Lin Yi to drink with him. This wasn't the time for a fight. Taizao could only suppress his anger and smile. I bumped into the door by accident, ha. Come, let's not talk about this. Please have a seat, Mr. Lin. Let me introduce you to these two brothers. Lin Yi nodded and sat down. Taizao started introducing the feminine-looking man and the fatty Mithriya Buddha. The feminine-looking man was Jianghu, and the fatty Mithriya Buddha was Taiwei. Ganglu's family was in the foreign trade business, and Taiwei was Taizao's cousin. I'm very happy to meet you today, Mr. Lin, Taiwei said. Jianghu bro, I heard that you're Jianghu bro's savior. I'll call you Brother Lin since I'm a bit older than you are. Let's drink till we're drunk, shall we? All right. Lin Yi nodded. Taiwei paused. According to Jianghu and Taizao's plan, Lin Yi wouldn't fall for it so easily, and wouldn't go home until he was drunk. After all, who wouldn't go home until they were drunk with their enemies? And so Taiwei had come up with a bunch of words to persuade Lin Yi, with Jianghu and Jianghu helping out as well. Jianghu was the strategist of the younger generation of House Su, and he had a pretty good brain and a belly full of bad ideas. He was the one who'd come up with the plan today. After a bit of planning, they decided to trip Lin Yi up in the drinking. It'd be best if they could get him into the hospital, but even if he couldn't, they'd still have to record him when he was drunk. But this was all a scheme, not a fight in the open. Mengyao wouldn't say anything even if she found out about it, and Jianghu was quite confident. But Lin Yi's reaction was out of everyone's expectations. Lin Yi agreed to it without hesitation after Taiwei's one sentence, leaving them a little dumbfounded. Taiwei felt like there was a fishbone stuck in his throat, and he couldn't use the words he'd prepared at all. He'd wanted to wait for Lin Yi to reject him, and then give a long speech of reasoning and persuasion, but there was no need for that at all. Lin Yi smiled at everyone's shocked faces. Haha, you guys know that I'm the Miss Follower and I don't get to drink at home usually, so I'm a little craving for it. As soon as Lin Yi's words left his mouth, everyone understood. So that was it. But it made sense. Lin Yi was Mingyao's follower hired by Peng Zhan. He couldn't be drinking all the time, could he? That wouldn't make sense. Naturally, Lin Yi wouldn't let go of such a rare opportunity like this. Everyone calmed down at Lin Yi's words. They'd thought that Lin Yi was playing some kind of trick, but it seemed like he'd really decided to get drunk. Jianghu, go get a few boxes of beer to quench our thirst and then bring out the white wine. Jianghu ordered. Mixing beer and white wine was very easy to get drunk, and it was very harmful to the stomach as well. Too much of it could even cause gastric bleeding or perforation. One had to admit that Jianghu was a devious bastard, asking for a few boxes of beer to quench his thirst. But Jianghu's goal was to drink Lin Yi to death, and even if he couldn't, he'd get him drunk and do something for him. Lin Yi looked like he had some alcohol tolerance, but Jianghu wasn't worried at all. He, Taizao, and Jianghu were all experts in the art of alcohol. Which one of the four young masters of Songshan didn't have amazing alcohol tolerance? Jianghu, the strategist, was even more so. He'd drink non-stop at home even if no one else was urging him to drink, and he'd chug down a bottle of white wine every time he was about to do something bad. How could an alcoholic like him be measured with common sense? Of course, if the three of them still couldn't get Lin Yi drunk, they still had another ace up their sleeve. Su Taiwei. This kid was a freak of the Su family. He was simply an alcoholic. Not only could he drink, but he was also proficient in all kinds of dangerous drinking methods. For example, he could drink red wine with Sprite, whiskey with iced black tea, beer with Coke, or he could drink red wine, white wine, and beer in turns. He could even drink to death. Others might die instantly after drinking these techniques, but Su Taiwei had grown up in a wine tank, and his father was in charge of the Su's winemaking business. He was basically an alcoholic tank. With a life-saving trump card like Su Taiwei, what did Jianghu have to fear? Soon, a couple of waiters came in with a few boxes of beer printed in English under Gong Lo's lead, placing them on the floor. Lin Yi looked at them, a trace of anger flashing through his heart. Weren't these guys a little too much? The beer was of the highest alcohol content. If it weren't for his knowledge, he'd probably be in the hospital right now. Jianghu had said that he wanted to get a few boxes of beer to quench his thirst, but Gang Lu had ordered the waiters to bring in the high alcohol content tactical nuclear penguin.